What is this foolishness?
How many dreams can you shape in a minute, an hour?
The kind of clean you like best.
Lost 3 of my teeth, too. All right, sir, you lost. Next time you win.
Steamy, hot, hearty, delicious, invigorating.
Time?
It's so crazy when they do that.
Why'd they do what?
Why'd they do that? How's everybody doing tonight? Welcome to Ike Live. We got a brand new show for you. It is Sunday night. This is going to be a good one. You've seen all the social media promotions go out over the last week. This is a really special show for me. I'm jacked up about it. We are talking about a DVD, a video, if you're an old head, called Big Bait Posse that came out 2012. A long time ago.
12 years ago.
12 years ago. And this thing was a game changer. This thing changed it. So we're going to be talking to all the guys from that video, most of them, and it's going to be great catching up with them. Some of them I haven't talked to since that video, since we made that video. Others I've talked to a lot. So it's going to be a great show. We got a nice group up in the lodge tonight. Of course, pushing buttons, producing the show, the one and only Brian the Carpenter in the house tonight. Brian, how you doing?
You introed the show Ike Live?
Ike Live?
Yeah, it was like it was a question.
Well, yeah, I don't know if it's Bash You or Ike Live. It's too confusing.
I don't know either.
They all look the same.
That's right.
And, of course, sitting next to Brian the Carpenter, man, I think all have to be Sunday shows from now on because we can't we miss this guy too much.
For
the
some.
one and only Dave Brodzik
For some.
in the house.
Thank you. I'll clap.
Yeah.
No one else did.
No, Dave, we do miss you.
Dave's still swole about one guy on YouTube that hated on him from the last show.
Oh, whatever. You gotta have thick skin, man.
I'm not swole.
Are you like Brian? You're like Brian. You're gonna attack everybody that has a negative comment. Brian attacks them. You need to be like that too.
Yeah,
Attack
but
them all.
Brian and I are common folk. We're not megastars in our profession like you are. Like it's not like Brian's on HGTV. You know what I mean? Like
He should be.
no, but
he's
what
not.
I'm saying is
Yeah.
like for
No,
us
I know,
to get
yeah.
attacked by somebody.
By
Yeah.
some coward on the internet.
You know what? You put
With
yourself in
little
a public
tiny
forum.
hands.
Yeah.
No excuses.
Yeah.
We're on the public forum. There's an area for people to comment. He
Yeah.
can say what I actually didn't even read the name when I was first reading it.
Yeah.
For people listening, someone wrote something. Not a big fan of me on YouTube. But,
Whatever.
I thought it was Pete actually, like finally putting his words about how he felt about me on on YouTube. Until I saw the name. Pete's finally admitting he don't like me.
Pete's favorite Wawa.
Yeah.
Code name.
No, but whatever. I'm cool.
Yeah, whatever. And, of course, we've got Zach the intern, a.k.a. Zog, in the house with us. Zog, peep your head in here real quick. Where you at?
Top right.
There you go. Right there. Hold on. Let me get the orientation right. Hold on. Stay right there. Let me poke your head. Dink.
That's it.
Can we get that picture
All right.
out of it?
That's a goddamn enough.
That's
Yeah,
enough. That's enough. We've got a great show for you. Once again, Big Bait Posse talking about the video, but more importantly, Brian Carpenter talking about the origins of a movement that I can't think of another one besides maybe like the Senko, the A-Rig, but big bait fishing has become this global thing.
So I tried to explain this to Dave in a way that he might understand. It was like
Yeah.
it was like
And so you're like, Dave.
well, the DVD escaped him. He didn't catch it when it came around.
Right, that's all
but
right.
it was like back in the late '80s when Faces of Death, that VCR tape went
Oh,
around.
yeah.
Remember Faces
Yeah,
of Death?
yeah.
How that was like that underground,
Little
kind of thing.
underground.
Yeah, and it just circled. Everybody saw.
Yeah, Dave, a better analogy would be they did in the fishing world a lot like the early BMX freestyle skate videos, VHS and DVD videos that were changing the way people looked at skating and freestyle BMX and motocross.
This was done in 2012, right?
No,
Yeah.
12 years ago.
12 years ago.
Like
Oh.
2008, maybe.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All
yeah.
right.
Yeah.
So
Let's
that's
see.
cool.
Let's see if I can find an actual date on it. It's a long time ago. 2007
Wow.
is the date, in fact. But big deal, and I'm glad everybody tuned in for tonight's show. Of course, Ike Live is brought to you by a ton of great sponsors, including our presenting sponsor, Mystery Tackle Box. In fact, we'll be doing a
Mystery Tackle
MTB box. Yes, we'll be doing a unboxing here in the third segment. Also brought to you by Dr. Squatch. We got a special Valentine's Day promotion going on right now. Bow Chicka Wow Wow. I don't know what that is, but is that a new scent of a bar?
They've got a new soap out.
That's
yeah.
cool. I didn't get that one yet.
No, I don't have it either yet.
So basically what I'm reading here on my notes is Bow Chicka Wow Wow is a love potion built into the bar of soap. So that might be great for Valentine's, for your significant other. Also brought to you by TH Marine. Don't forget, we're right here on the heels tournament season, Brian DeCarpenter. Make sure if you run a TH product, head over to thmarine.com, sign up for the Atlas Awards program. It's a little bit of money to sign up, but you can win tons of money if you're the highest place finisher in that tournament. Also brought to you by Hobie. Hobie is basically the Cadillac of kayaks.
Yeah,
if
there's
you didn't already know that.
a new trail coming out, right?
New trail coming out. The Hobie Bass Open Series
Yes.
starting out on Lake Seminole in a couple weeks.
Yes.
Pretty excited. February 1st and 2nd. You can go to tourneyx.com if you want to sign up for that one. It'll be a good one. In fact, I don't know if you knew this, but the day after this event, Bri, on the 3rd, which would be Monday, February 3rd, I'm fishing Lake Seminole, filming a Hobie show.
Is
So
that right?
very excited. Right before I start my season, I'm going to get to film with some of the Hobie guys. So
Nice.
it'll be fun. Seminole's a good lake in the pre-spawn. Should be good. And here's some other ones, too, real quick. Liquid Mayhem, Flambeau, Real Snot, Primal Urge Foods, Tackle Warehouse, and, of course, Founder's Beer, last but not least. And Brian, what is this? How do you pronounce this? Because this is the first time I've had this here.
This is the Rubius.
Rubius.
Yeah.
It's a raspberry ale, which I would call it light and refreshing. Dave, would you call this a summertime beer?
Yes.
Yeah.
For sure.
Summery. I could see drinking 20 or 30 of these in one sitting.
Yeah. We will on 4th of July out back.
Yeah, we should. Also, before we start the show, as we always do, send a shout out to the military, active veterans, men and women. Thank you guys for what we do, especially now. It's a lot of crazy shit going on, so thank you guys. Police, firemen, EMT, thank you. Thank you for what you do. Brian, I want to start the show. We got a lot going on that I want to get through before the meat of it, right? Before the meat of it. So I want to do a little catch-up. Before I do that, let me remind everybody, if they're watching over on Facebook, if you're watching right now on Facebook Live, I want you to like and share this feed. And I know you're looking at me right now and you're saying, why the hell would I do that? I'm going to tell you. If you like and share this feed right now, you're entered into a contest to win this amazing Ike Live bag. If you're a regular follower of the show, you know this thing weighs about 20 pounds. It's loaded with every sponsored product. We have just everything in there, from Tackle Warehouse to Flambeau to Mystery Tackle Box to TH Marine. It's loaded with stuff. Like and share the feed. You'll be entered in a contest to win that. Also want to remind everybody, Brian Carpenter, we want to hear from him tonight. We're going to be talking a lot about big baits, swim baits, the origin, the start of it. If you got a comment or a question on anything you hear tonight, hit us up on the IM. Just chime right there on the IM. Also, if you're following on any of the social media feeds, you can hit us up on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter at Ike Live Show. And what else we got, Brian? Anything else to catch up? Housekeeping to catch up on? We'll talk about this reel, dude.
Yeah.
Look at this thing sitting in front of me. I know if you've been following the Ike Live social media pages, especially in the last Ike Live show, you got to see the first look at this beauty right here. And I'll give you a little rotation. Look at this thing. This is a custom Abu Garcia. This is a premiere, and it is an Ike Live exclusive. To my knowledge, if I recall, click, there's only, what are we talking about, Brian Carpenter? Are we talking less than 15 of these things out there, maybe?
Yeah, less than 10.
Less than 10.
And if I take mine out of the equation, less than 5.
All right, yeah. So very, very limited supply of these one-of-a-kind Ike Live Revos that were also custom tuned, Brian Carpenter, by
B&R Graphics.
B&R Graphics wrapped it.
B&R Graphics
And
wrapped it, and Real Clean Reels, REAL.
REAL, Clean Reels.
That's right.
Super tune these things, so they're fabulous. I mean, just smoking reels. And we ran a contest, and we have a winner.
We do have a winner.
We have a winner.
So we ran a social media contest
Yes.
on Facebook and Instagram, and tied to our YouTube channel. And it's on a piece of paper I wrote down somewhere.
Yep. And this is what you texted me as the winner here, right?
Go for it.
Okay. And the winner is, we're officially announcing this tonight. I know everybody's on the edge of their chair. And we're going to be doing more of these, right?
Yes, there's going to be a few more.
There's going to be a few more. The winner of the first exclusive Ike Live Abu Garcia reel is Cameron W. Coone.
Yep. Cameron Kuhn.
Cameron Kuhn. Lip ripping roster.
Rooster.
Rooster. Whatever.
Nailed it.
Cameron, you're the winner of this amazing reel. Man, at least I didn't mess up like that news reporter. Could have been worse. Great reel. Thank you for getting in the contest. Really, really amazing contest, and I'm glad you won that one. And we're going to run more of them. Keep your eye out on the Ike Live social feeds. We're going to be giving away more of these reels. I feel like it's somber in here. Yes, Brian Carpenter.
Yes, speaking of somber.
Yeah.
There's... God, dude.
Dave just toot.
No, he's
probably
burping
large.
meat sticks at me.
I'm just eating it, dude.
Oh,
Just eating it. My God. Sorry.
Yeah,
it smells like you burped it at me.
Today was a pretty somber day. In the course of 2 days, we lost two big guys in the sports world. Of course, yesterday, Saturday, Forrest Wood passed away,
Yep.
a legend in the sport of fishing, for sure. Big loss for everybody. And then today, super shocking, Kobe Bryant passed away with his daughter in a helicopter crash, which is
And 7 others.
and 7 others, which is devastating. So whenever something like that happens, it's somber. With Forrest, I can tell you that I've met Forrest probably 10 or 12 times. Have shaken his hand and said hello to him. And back when I fished with Ranger boats, we would have a Ranger function at the end of every year, and there were always like Forrest Wood awards that would be given away and all that stuff. So I got to meet the man a few times. I don't know, man. When you think about it, like icons of the sport that set it in the path that it is today, you'd have to put his name up there, wouldn't you? He'd have to be up there with Johnny Morris and Ray Scott, right? And
for sure.
McInnes. I mean, those guys sort of shaped, what the sport is for us,
He might make the Mount Rushmore of pioneers, right? Like he might be
I think
that
he
fourth
would.
spot.
I think he would.
I would say for sure.
Yeah, that would be cool. Well, that carving would be cool because you can imagine trying to do that big ass cowboy hat in stone. That'd be cool.
Just even if someone with wood skills was
Yeah.
able to make something like that,
Yeah.
who would
Yeah.
it be? It would be him, Ray Scott,
Ray Scott,
McInnes,
might be there.
Roland.
Yeah, and living guys still now they're here. Roland and Jimmy Houston, Bill Dance, I think would be there.
But you're only gonna have 4.
Only have 4. Okay.
Yeah.
But Forrest Wood, the interesting thing about Forrest is he shaped, I think, the boating side of this sport. For sure. Because you look back, dude, at the early days. I'm talking about like when you Google search this shit or pull some of these books out of this bookcase in the back, and you look at where bass boats were, before this big bass tournament movement. Dude, they were like glorified freaking 70 tri-holes, and to see where all that came, with where it's at today. And that's an interesting part of the sport. And like we take it for granted. But when I meet people that don't know professional bass fishing for the first time, they're like, "Oh my God, this is the best thing in the world. It's racing combined with fishing." That's their first comment,
That's the truth.
It's the truth. We take it for granted, but it is a big part of the sport. And I think Forrest Wood and Ranger boats, big part of shaping the boating aspect of it, for sure. That was one thing,
Well, correct me if I'm wrong. Weren't they the first boats? Wasn't that what all the classic boats were? Weren't they all Rangers?
They were all Rangers for a lot of years.
But for the very first classic that they had,
I think it was all identically rigged Ranger boats. Yes, it was. And then the neat thing about he started this spark that ignite it, and then you saw all these other companies. In fact, I think Skeeter maybe even was the predecessor of Ranger. Maybe somebody can IM if they know the exact history of what was the first true bass boat. But Skeeter, Ranger, Bass Cat, and all these boat companies that started in Arkansas, Texas, and started spreading. It just pushed everything. When you have competition like that, it pushed everything.
Don't you think they forced the other manufacturers to pay attention to detail to the level that they did? They were the pioneers of making sure that like every need was met for the most part.
Every need. And I think they were doing then what they do now is they're working with guys and saying, hey, this is what we need. The whole live well thing, it was new. In the beginning, the first, 5, 6, 7, 8 years, bro, they were freaking putting them on stringers.
Yeah,
they were killing them.
Skewing them at the end.
Yeah, they were all eating them. Like, these bass taste good. But, it's so neat to look back and see how that technology had advanced. So there's the boating side of it. And then the other side of what I'd say Forrest had a huge impact on is the enormity of the sport from the standpoint of the money that's involved, You got to give him some credit because I think, bass tournaments, when you saw them in the 70s, they were fishing for beer money, it seemed like, and since then we've had $1 million tournaments with FLW, now most of them are $100,000 at a minimum, so I think a lot of that, you got to give credit to Forrest Wood for and Ranger Boats, a lot of that, puffing up the status of fishing and putting more money into the sport. It's a lot to do with it too.
Well, sure, the whole priority entry with having a Ranger, genius.
Oh yeah, yeah.
It had guys with money to burn being able to say they fish professional tournaments.
Yeah,
because they get the boat and then they get the priority entry and they're in there.
Yeah.
It was such a clever business model.
Yeah, and he was, like I said, every time I saw him at a function or event, he was always the nicest, most humble guy out there. Just very quiet, well-mannered gentleman. So we're going to miss Forrest. Thoughts and prayers go out to the Wood family for sure. And then the Kobe thing, I don't even know the details yet. Has anybody heard any details? I know it was a helicopter.
It was about 10 a.m. They said that the visibility for Southern California was rather not normal. It was like cloudy, I guess, and that's it. That's all.
Yeah.
I didn't even know what happened.
I don't know. I saw a video. I don't know that was his helicopter, but
yeah,
I saw one. It went down. Things were bad. So again, I don't know. I'm not going to speculate on it, but that was a malfunction with the machine.
Right. But. Yeah, it's a shame. Life is short, man. You lose people like that, especially Kobe, who I think was 40, 41.
41.
Yeah, it's unbelievable to put some perspective, man. You got to live every day.
Life is short. Throw big baits, right?
Dude, life's short. Throw big baits for sure. But here's the other thing about Kobe and Forrest too that I wanted to mention, which is whether you like social media or not, you think it's the devil or the best thing in the world. When somebody passes away that impacted people, dude, I seriously, when I looked, I made a post at 5:30 for this show, and I'm scrolling through social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all of them. And, dude, like every third or fourth post was somebody posting about Kobe.
Oh, yeah.
And these are and on Instagram, they're mostly people that are fish heads. And so, it's amazing how he transcended the sports. He's a professional athlete in the basketball world, but so many people connected with him and had impact on a lot of people. And you see that when every other post is about Kobe or Forrest was the same way. When Forrest passed away on Saturday, I saw hundreds of posts about it. So
touched a lot of people.
Yeah, very, very impactful on other people's lives. So both those guys are going to be missed. Probably should pour out a little Founders. I normally put it on the floor, but Beck will kill me. I'll just pour it in my mouth real quick. Yes, Brian. Yeah, police, military.
Well, no.
I did that already.
Did you?
Yeah. You want me to do it again?
Now, Brian and I were talking also before that.
I'm sorry. I must have missed it.
No, that's all right.
In terms of like police, military, and fire, it's been a bad week for that community as well.
Yeah.
So you talk about fire.
Yeah.
We sent a whole team of like our professional forest firefighters over to Australia, and three of them got killed in a plane crash. 3 American firefighters died over there. On the law enforcement front, it's been bad. this week. Just to mention a few yet. Some Honolulu police officers were shot and killed. Just the other night, a 24-year-old female police officer in Newport, Virginia, not far from us, got drugged by a bad guy in a car and got smashed between the door and the tree. She got killed.
Terrible.
Yeah, it's been a rough week, and on the military front, I don't know. I didn't hear anything recently.
Yeah. All right. Well, it's shit. It's a shitty world sometimes. That's
for
sure.
Just a real quick question though. Why is it? And I don't want to dismiss the tragedy of the helicopter crash. But why is everyone so immersed with like a professional athlete's death over frontline people like soldiers and police officers and firefighters?
Yeah, I don't know. That's a great question.
Because you see that person. We all see it. We all identify with them. We watched them on television for 10 years or 15 years or 20 years. I mean, I get what you're saying, Dave, as far as importance or perceived importance, but I mean, they're visible. You watch somebody, you feel like you know them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like the guy that hates you on YouTube, he feels like he knows you and he hates you.
I still think it was Pete using an alias.
It might have been Pete. He's watching right now probably. He's like,
pretty sure that
Dave's on to me.
If he met you, he'd hate you. That's what I took from the message.
You're saying he would hate me or he wouldn't?
If he met you, I think he thinks he
would still hate me?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Oh, my God.
I should hate you. I want to turn it from somber sadness to the other side, and I want to congratulate maybe the first live podcast because it only happened an hour ago. I want to be the first to congratulate John Cox on the first big major bass win of the year.
He's an animal, dude.
He's an animal.
He is ridiculous.
He's an animal. He's a very natural fisherman.
He's a very natural fisherman.
A very natural fisherman. Doesn't need 1,000 waypoints. Doesn't have to put in 3 months of practice. He just goes and fishes.
I've got the pleasure of fishing with him at ICAST this past summer.
Yeah.
Just, for 4 hour ICAST Cup tournament, and it's an experience, man.
Yeah. There's something too, and it's funny because
free.
He's free. And I had this conversation with somebody today at the damn flea market. There's something to being carefree, and I don't want to say, maybe this is the wrong way to put it, but I have to say it this way. Like the I don't give a fuck, I don't give a shit, whatever happens, happens attitude. Dude, there's something to that because the other guy that's like that is Jordan Lee.
Right.
He's exactly like that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not that they don't care. They're competitors. They do care.
Right.
But they're also just like, whatever. Like you don't see an ounce of stress in their body. They're never tense. They're just like, whatever. It's
because they got a wheelbarrow full of money waiting for them at home.
I don't know. Maybe on Jordan's side, but I don't know about John. I feel like John's a very regular guy.
John's made his own.
Yeah, I feel like he's a regular dude. And but I mean, you see it like when they're tying stuff on, they just stop in the middle and tie stuff on. And
they were launching boats at the tournament.
Yeah,
they're already launching them, and John's pulling up. And I get it's the ICAST Cup, somebody.
Yeah, but he's like that across the board.
But he's like that.
Yeah.
Like they called our number, and we were just still getting into the boat.
Yeah.
Like he's just throwing some rods in and goes in the back of his truck and just grabs a couple bags of plastic, random stuff, and.
There's something to that.
We should have won it. We had to fish on to win.
Yeah.
We finished second, but
it's awesome, and I think that freeness, that carefree personality like that, lets a lot of those guys succeed. You know, and it for me, it's I don't operate like that, dude. I'm freaking tense right now, just making sure I stay on track with all this shit. But I got to tell you,
because I didn't bring you notes tonight.
I know, but I'm gonna make a prediction. Look at the camera when I say this. Really, honestly, I know I'll never let go, probably like John Cox or Jordan Lee, but I am going into this year of tournament fishing with the least amount of pressure, personally, that I've ever felt. And I'll explain myself.
Well, can I add that?
Yeah.
So, an observation by the New York Chris.
Yeah.
One of our biggest supporters.
Yeah.
Gave a lengthy thing saying you seem so much more relaxed this year leading into the season than prior seasons.
Yeah, it's crazy. Dude, to the fact to where, like, a week ago, Becky's, like, she's looking at me. She's like, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "What's the matter?" She's like, "We're 2 weeks away from you leaving. You're not
you haven't broke nothing yet.
You're not stressing out. You're not having anxiety.
Yelled at me.
You're not having anxiety attacks. So, like, there's nothing, I'm like, nah, man. I'm like even I did my tackle in 2 days. I'm 90% done my tackle in 2 days. Normally it takes me like 3 to 4 weeks to do it all.
Really?
I'm done. I have what I have. I cut back.
Yeah.
I cut back the totes in my truck. I cut back the number of rods in my boat. I just got this great attitude.
It's because it's MLF and you're just going to throw a Senko.
Well,
and a little buzz bait.
well, you half of that statement.
Hey-o.
Half of that statement's true. I think a lot of my carefreeness is that it's MLF. And I do want to explain this a little bit, so I don't want to get a bad rap with people because I'm not in trouble because I like MLF and I like bass, I like FLW. I watched along with John the whole week watching him. I like all the circuits, but MLF to me at this point in my career, maybe it's a better way to say it. I don't have any pressure, dude. I've got no pressure.
Yeah.
I don't want to say they don't mean as much. It's the wrong way to say it, but it doesn't really matter. Like, if I go catch them, awesome. If I don't, who cares? It's Major League Fishing. There's no classic to qualify for.
How much of
There's no championship. Who cares?
But how much of no stage and standing in front of people is factored into that?
That too, maybe.
Well, there's a red crest.
No more red crest.
Wait, what?
No red crest next year.
They got rid of it?
Well, temporarily, it looks like. I don't want to get into this. It's a whole other topic. But
are you serious?
No red crest in 2020. Oh. No championship event. Dude, it just, to me, feels so much more relaxed this year. Not that I don't care, because I still want to win. You know, Brian, I told you. I got geeked up last year about wanting to go out and compete again. I still have that.
Yeah.
But I just don't feel the pressure. I don't feel the pressure. You know what I mean? I'm not worried about it. If I fail, I fail. It's what the hell?
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. You know what I mean?
Well,
what does it matter?
No, well, that's a good.
Yeah.
Yeah, you need it.
Yeah, and to put it in perspective with all this other shit, the military thing is a great example. Police guys, firemen, EMT. Dude, I'm fishing. Who gives a shit?
Right, well, yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
It's just fishing. These guys are risking their lives. They got real pressure. This ain't no pressure.
No.
I'm doing something I love to do every day.
Yeah.
No, but you still.
That's how you should look at it.
Yeah.
But cops and soldiers don't want you to look at your individual job like as if it doesn't matter because of what they're doing.
I'm not saying
they
it doesn't
really just
matter.
want when they get killed for people to care. That's pretty much it.
And I'm not saying my job doesn't matter. I'm just saying I really don't feel. I feel very, very free, and maybe not to the level of John Cox, but I think it's going to help me this year.
Oh,
I think I might have a breakthrough year. I think I might pop a couple this year.
Nice.
Yeah,
kind of feel
you'll be fishing free until you're in competition, until you're in position to win an event, and then you're gonna start spazzing out again.
No, I don't know. I don't think so.
Break the rod over your poor referee.
I'm who I am, and that's that, and you know.
And that's that.
Yeah, that's
mean,
Yeah.
I'm sure I'll get another 30 fines this year. But anyway, John Cox, congratulations on your win. Awesome.
John's the man.
Another trophy on the mantle there.
Good for John.
Can we also congratulate G-Man for a top 10 finish?
Yeah, G-Man with a top 10 in the first Bass Open. And, of course, we had Brian Carpenter. We had Brian New on.
We had Brian New on with the win.
Very much, again, reminds me of a John Cox where he's a little free, little just off the cuff, just fishing, Yeah. I like that too. And Scott Martin, not surprisingly, with the top 5 in his first event. He'll qualify for the elites, I'm sure. I don't see any problem in that.
That'd be cool.
He's pretty damn good too.
That would be really cool, yep.
Yeah. And then
and shout out to our man the Riz, who's not here tonight.
Shout out to Rizzo.
He's in South Carolina, I believe.
South Kakalaki.
Yeah, and apparently he beat B-Lat in a flipping competition.
What? I don't believe that.
I got to see the video.
I have to see the footage. I don't believe that.
These are the rumors.
Yeah, it sounds like they had 2 good events for people to follow the Bash University. Of course, we had one in Anderson, South Carolina this weekend, happening yesterday, today, and then in Tulsa. 2 simultaneous cities. Sound like they both went really well. Thank you for all those guys that showed up at the classes. And then we have the next 2 big events are the first Bass Elite on St. John's River, which starts the same week as the MLF.
How about that?
What's up with that? Dave, what's up with that? I mean, you hear these people.
It's a fist fight.
Yeah, it's bullshit. You hear these people from both organizations saying, oh, no. The sport's the most important thing. The fans are the most important thing. And then they go and do this shit on purpose. Obviously, it's on purpose.
Yeah,
Is it crap?
To me, it always pissed me off. It pissed me off when Bass would stomp on FLW and try to squeeze
terrible,
their heads,
man.
and then to see MLF do it.
Yeah, and I'm not blaming one of them. I'm saying,
Right.
Both organizations are being bullies to each other.
Seems that way.
Yeah.
Seems that way.
It's business, dude. They're making money.
Yeah, but it's bigger than business. I mean, it's the
Not
sport.
to them.
I know, but
To them, it's business, dude.
But shouldn't it be bigger than business?
Shouldn't everything be? But it's not.
I think it crosses a line when you talk about fishing, because fishing is not on the level of some major sports like football and basketball and all these. Because fishing is we can meet professional anglers.
Yeah,
you can't get next to Kobe. Oh, sorry about that.
You're getting fired now too.
Bad example.
Come on, man. When you work for MSNBC,
I'm saying you can't get next to professional athletes on that level.
Right, I'd agree with that.
Yeah,
I'd agree with that.
But you can meet professional fishermen and talk to them, and so it's different. People relate to it on a better level.
No, but you are on the same level as them in your market share of the environment that you live in.
Yeah,
you are. He's right there with them.
Here's the thing, though. Look, I know there's the big thing, because I've actually brought this up to higher ups at both organizations at one point or another, and the response is always, "There's only so many weekends in the year." I get that, but at the same time, dude, why are you cannibalizing each other, right? Yeah. Wouldn't, from a business standpoint, wouldn't your numbers be better if you could break away and be by yourself? Why would you want to have an MLF event and an elite event in the same week?
But why wouldn't Bass want to punch them in the face?
Is it punch them in the face, or are they losing market share?
No, everybody's losing.
Yeah,
the fans lose because it's spread out. Everybody loses.
And the other thing is what John Cox is doing this year, which is amazing. He's fishing 2 circuits. He's the only guy this year out of 300, quote unquote, 300 full-time touring pros, the only guy that's cherry picking two leagues, right?
Yep.
That's amazing. But why shouldn't it? It should be like that. Why shouldn't it be the guy can fish all the major league fishing events and all the elite events if he's a professional angler? The biggest opportunity to make the most money he can make as a pro angler. That's the way it should be.
Ish was probably the last guy that did both when you were able to do both before MLF.
Ish did both. Yep. Used 2 boats. John Cox doing it this year, using 2 boats.
But he's not going to be able to do it this year.
He's doing it this year.
Yeah, he's fishing the FLW and Bass.
Oh, okay.
FLW and Bass. Yep.
Wow.
Yep. So, yeah. All right, let's keep going. Want to end this, and we're going to end this segment here just a second. And when we get back, I know everybody's patiently waiting, me too, me included. When we come back, we're going to begin talking about probably the most impactful DVD/video ever in the sport of fishing. I would put it right up there with classic books, some of the stuff Kevin's put out over the years, some of the Bill Dance videos. I'd put it right up there with all those as impacting people and changing the way they fish. We're going to be talking to the guys from the Big Bait Posse video. And I was fortunate enough to be a part of this video way back in 2007. So excited about that. But let me end this, Brian, with talking about the Ike Foundation. Really cool today. We had the Barrington Rod and Reel Flea Market over in Belmar. The Ike Foundation had a booth out there and selling some used stuff, and all the proceeds were going to the Ike Foundation of what we're selling there. But more importantly, Brian the Carpenter,
yes,
we have a big event coming up this coming Friday. Want to remind everybody, if you're watching or listening right now and you're in, call it the tri-state area, within a couple hours drive of southern New Jersey, please check it out. We have our Ike Foundation Scholarship event this Friday night at 7 p.m. It's at the Centerton Country Club down here in Centerton, New Jersey. Great event. All the proceeds at this event are going to go toward kids fishing scholarships. So what does that mean? I'll give it to you, Dave. Basically, graduating high school seniors, we have this big application process where they send in their information. They got a love for the outdoors, hunting, fishing, camping. They can send in an application, and we're going to provide 5 or 6 big money scholarships for these kids to go to school. So
that's awesome.
Pretty exciting. Nice little part of the Ike Foundation of what we do. And all the proceeds from Friday night will go to that. We've got music. We've got food. We've got great beer from Yards Brewery donating the beer. We've got door prizes. We've got a guest speaker coming in from Toyota. It's going to be a great night. I want everybody to come out. If you've got nothing to do, come out and hang out. Tables are real cheap. You can go to the IkeFoundation.org and get information on getting us.
Yards has been there since Event 1, haven't they?
Event 1. They've supported the foundation from day one. So shout out to those guys. Yeah,
great local brewery.
Great brewery.
Yes.
Trevor and Tom, thank you guys. Let's take a break, Bri.
Yes.
When we come back, we're going to be talking about the meat. Throwing the meat. Hang in there with us. When we come back, we're talking Big Bay Posse. Hang on.
Hi. Today we're going chest to chest in the Dr. Squatch lather test. On that half of Mike's impressive chest, we're rubbing him down with 3 name brand bars. The result? A sad, milky film of disappointment. How's that feel, Mike? You see, Big Soap cuts corners and strips out all the sudsy goodness in order to make production cheaper. But not Dr. Squatch. Don't worry, Mike. Dr. Squatch soap retains all the natural ingredients, which creates a rich, foamy lather, leaving your skin healthy, soft, and clean. Ooh, looks like Squatch is taking over this peck party. How do you feel now, Mike? Dr. Squatch Natural Soap. When we say it lathers, it f***ing lathers. You deserve glorious lather. Take the lather challenge for yourself today.
4.5-inch drop shot worm, Bama bug. Finesse jig, PB&J, give me something hard. Hey, KVD here. Now, I didn't always know this much about fishing. 4-aught EWG worm hook. In fact, there was a time when I couldn't tell the difference between a jerkbait and a stickbait. But then I signed up for Mystery Tackle Box, the original monthly tackle subscription. And now I know more about fishing than I do about calculus.
And he knows a lot about calculus.
Plus, I get amazing extras, like free fishing magazines. October 2016. Featured article, 4 places to throw a frog. Exclusive decals. Zombie bass. And how-to videos for all the great baits I receive. How to tune a crankbait. Is that underwater footage I smell?
I got goosebumps.
So if you're looking to develop enhanced fishing abilities like me, or you just like getting new tackle every month, go to mysterytacklebox.com and get your box today. Ooh, live minnows. Is it lunchtime already? Nature's candy. Oh. Is he in my pocket?
This time of year, I definitely recommend putting a little bit of this on your soft plastics too. There he is. Another one. Next cast. And that would be number 6. I'm addicted. I'll admit it. I'm straight addicted.
This might be bigger.
You think so?
Yeah. Feels bigger. I haven't even seen this thing yet. It doesn't want to come up. Don't break me off the rocks.
Oh, it's a... Oh!
27-incher.
He caught it.
28.
Oh my god, that's such a healthy fish. Look at the size. Put a little liquid mayhem on your crappie jig, and look where the stripers get it.
You can't even see it, man.
That might be a keeper.
All right, how's everybody doing? Welcome back to Ike Live. I hope you're having a wonderful Sunday night. I know I am. This is an exciting one for me because we're taking a little stroll back, Brian the Carpenter, in memory lane. And I like these historical shows where we go back and look at things from the past. We've had a few shows like that, but this is going to be a good one right now. And let me school everybody on what I'm talking about here. And this is a DVD. We probably have, Zog, there's probably a lot of 16 to 20-year-olds watching right now that don't even know what a DVD is. Is that possible? But this is a DVD that came out in 2007 called Big Bait Posse. and it was a breakthrough DVD, breakthrough video, one of a kind, that for the first time for a lot of people showed swim bait, big bait fishing.
Want me to dial them up?
Dial them up while we're talking this up. Yeah. And, for me especially, it was the first time I got to see it. I'd heard about it a little bit, but it was the first time I saw it. So, dude, this video, when I, to this day, Dave, when I talk to people, I meet people at shows, and they still talk about it like it was yesterday. Like, oh man, I remember sleeping in my truck watching it. I remember watching it get pumped up. I remember it's the first time I saw the Huddleston, and so it was breakthrough.
So then Brian's description of it as being the faces of death of bass fishing videos is accurate, right?
I think it's pretty accurate.
Yeah. How about that, dude?
Yeah, it's very, like I said, it's very, the skateboard analogies there. The early surf videos analogy might be there, but a game changer, definitely ahead of its time back in 2007. And you got to also remember this, dude, and Zog, remember this. This is before YouTube. This is before social media. This is before all that mass of content, right?
Yeah.
So it was hard to watch good fishing, and like it's funny. I was reading the. Let me read this, Brian, before we get these guys on, because this is great text that's on the DVD packaging itself. It says, "Tired of watching all those boring bass fishing videos? The Big Bait Posse decided to expose the world with their action-packed side of swim bait fishing. Over 40 minutes of nonstop bass action, filmed exclusively by the fishermen themselves. This DVD provides a unique insight to their days on the water. You've never seen so many giant bass caught in one video." That sums it up pretty good. But you got to remember, Dave, this is like the Stone Age of content. Right. You couldn't get content, so you were getting it through magazines. You were watching crappy TNN or whatever, or Bassmasters. The Bassmaster show was the most exciting thing out there. You didn't have great content, So you got to put this in context, right?
Yeah.
So it's hard. Somebody's 16 or 18 right now, they're listening to us. They're saying, shit, I watch YouTube all the time and I get this stuff. Well, this is breakthrough for the time. And more than that, and again, this might be a good segue here, Brian. More than that, it really did, in my mind, I don't want to say maybe launch big bait, swim bait fishing, but it brought it to people's attention for the first time. And that's in itself is groundbreaking. It's groundbreaking. I'd love to, at some point, Brian, during the show, I'd love to get some of these young whippersnappers to comment. Hopefully we can get them to call in.
I can tell you one right now. This is like I don't know. This is like Laurel and Hardy to them. You know what I mean? Like
Laurel and Hardy, black and white.
Yeah, exactly. This is who's the guy with the Groucho Marx? You know what I mean?
Oh yeah,
yeah.
Where they don't say no, just
Now they're like, why don't you just turn the camera on yourself?
Yeah, and
Dad?
they just speed around like ding 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 ding. Yeah,
little bastards didn't know what we had to do back in the day.
But I'll go ahead and I'm going to call them out by name, and maybe this will make them want to chime in more. I'm going to call them out by name, Brian the Carpenter.
Hit them.
And these are swim bait guys in their own right. But I'm going to go ahead and say Brandon Polinick, Justin Lucas, like guys like that. These young guys that they're really, really, really good with big baits. I bet you if you survey them, they're going to list and say, this was a part of the reason they got into big bait fishing. I bet you there's thousands of anglers out there that are in their 20s and 30s that can say the same thing. So it's groundbreaking video, and I'm so stoked to have these guys.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, Mike.
Oh, I have these guys on.
Yeah, we're just trying to crop the double.
Crop double. Okay.
Well, no, I was trying to tell you. A couple people have commented your S's are super strong.
Oh, my S's
the
are
mic's
strong.
super close to your face.
Okay. I'll pull the mic away from my face a little bit. I didn't know what that hand signal was, Dave. I didn't know if you were smoking a cigarette.
I kind of figured if I did this with my face, like Get it away from your mouth, dude. Like you're giving yourself a
Yeah. But the other thing too, and this is great timing to have this show, is that I want to say about a couple weeks ago, we're going to find out from these guys. They put it up on YouTube.
Yes.
After all these years.
Yes.
It's finally up on YouTube. So if you're watching right now and you're like, man, I can't wait to see this, you can go to YouTube. Just put in Big Bait Posse in the YouTube search bar. It'll come up, and you can get to watch this whole video. And it is groundbreaking. It's pretty incredible. So
all right, let's bring them in. We're going to work on cropping the shot a little bit better as we go. But
we'll crop the shot.
With it,
That's all right. Let's get them in, and we have and we're going to have 2 segments of this, Brian the Carpenter. But right now we've got joining us with the double Skype feed. Once we get this crop correctly, we've got Paul Bailey and Matt Newman joining us, and Dave Hollenbach all coming in on different Skype feeds all over the place. What's up, guys?
What's happening? What up, Mike?
How you doing?
Mike? Doing good, man. Good to see you.
Good to see you guys. All right, first things first. Can you believe, the other thing when I looked at this video, can you believe the copyright on this thing is 2007? How the hell did that happen?
Paul?
Yeah, it was weird. We had been fishing down in the Southern California area for quite a few years, and actually Matt was the one that pretty much got all of us started, I think. I wasn't too into bass fishing. I was racing BMX bikes. I know Dave was, good friends with my brother Sean. What happened was Sean kind of got into the bass fishing thing. Sean got the bass fishing bug and ended up going into one of the local tackle stores, I believe, and meeting Matt. Matt was working behind the counter at the tackle store. And Matt said, hey, after Sean coming in a bunch of times talking fishing, he says, hey,
First time. It was the first time.
First time. Go ahead. You finish from here because you know better than I do.
First time I met him, he came in and he had been out of town. And lived out of town, and he came back and said he'd come back and he said, I'm going to learn how to catch a bass. And so I was in a weird mood, so I go, okay, and I turned around and I pulled this 12-inch AC plug off the shelf. And I said, this is what you need. And he looked at me crazy, and I go, yeah, that's what everyone's doing. And he's like, oh, okay. And he laughed, and everyone at the store was like, that was kind of a dick move. And then he came back the next day, and he's got this picture. Man, thank you so much. Look what I got. And then the next 2 or 3 days, he was catching one every day on this thing.
Oh, my God.
And so I think it was like a couple weeks later, I was at the lake, and I saw him bailing water out of his tin boat. And I jumped on my boat, and that was it. We became best friends after that.
Wow. It's...
Yeah. And that was kind of how it all started was that was the whole start of it, and then from there it just grew into kind of where we are now.
Yeah, I had that really big day where I had 27 over 8 pounds in a row.
Yeah.
And so after that day, I raced over to Best Buy, and Dave was with me that day. And then the next day I went to Best Buy, bought a little handy cam, and I brought back my mom. Yeah. Because I didn't want anybody else knowing. So I came back with my mom to film it, and she filmed me and Dave. And then
that's awesome.
That's when I invited you out, and we got all that footage. And so I started compiling quite a bit of footage, and then I showed Sean, and that's when he's like, well, I got some footage. Can we put it together? So that was that, and then Paul jumped in after that, and that was it. And we were just filming every day. We were mental. We were very competitive to get the best footage.
Yeah.
But we were sharing to make sure we got bit that day.
Yeah.
So it was every single day we were just running around that lake.
And every time that camera got shut off, battery goes, we finally get one.
Of course.
So frustrating. Remember how many times? It was terrible.
Yeah.
Of course. It's unbelievable. Now here's the thing I want to start with, because it's so interesting to me, and this has happened to other people I met in other walks of life and other professions. But when it's happening, when all this is going down, it doesn't seem that significant at the time. You know what I mean? It's almost like you're just doing what you do, you're just having fun, it's just who you are. And then you're able to reflect back on it all these years later, and you're like, holy hell, how important was, like, it, it's amazing to me when I look back on that. I was there. I was there for that day. I was hanging with you guys. I got to see it up close. I remember. But it just seemed like a fun fishing day to me at the time. And now all these years I look back on it and I'm like, God, these guys were changing the world. Have you guys ever thought about that? I mean, in that context?
I guess you kind of think it in your head a little bit, but then you feel like that's a bit over-egoed a little bit. So you're like, no, bring yourself down. Like maybe it wasn't just us, but I've had people say that we changed it, and I obviously we did. We put it in the light. We definitely did. I mean, there was guys that like Dana and Mike Breakbill. Those guys taught me. So, but they weren't filming it. They couldn't fish every day.
Right.
We were younger and fanatical. So yeah, we knew we were doing something cool. We knew when we were filming it that was the drive. As nobody has captured this on film, but to sit back even 5 years after the video and think that we were the ones responsible for it is hard to think, I guess, because it was gonna happen eventually.
Yeah.
If we did, go ahead, Mike.
I was just gonna say maybe or maybe not. It's hard. I mean, it's hard to look back and say if we didn't do this, would it ever be this big? If we, I don't know. Yeah. I think it changed. I think it changed everything, and from different perspectives. For sure. And by the way, I made a social media post earlier in the week, and it's funny. And I knew it was going to happen. I told Brian the Carpenter. I made a post talking about this show, talking about having you guys on, and I didn't say anything about you guys being the original Big Bait guys. I just said, man, we've got the guys from Big Bait Posse coming on talk. We're going to reflect on the start of this movement. And I mean, it was like they just started jumping in with these names, like bullshit. This guy was first. This guy. So I'm not even saying from the perspective of you guys starting big swim bait fishing, but other things like making a video, presenting fishing in a way we've never seen it in this context of almost surfing, skateboarding style videos. And that's I think it changed the fishing world in all those ways. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, absolutely. That was kind of my intention when I came into the picture. These guys were fishing really hard. I was really big into the BMX scene. I was traveling all over the world doing races and doing dirt contests and all that fun stuff. And
jealous.
And so I kind of had the vision of myself of making this bass fishing thing more like a motocross video, a skate video, a surf video, a BMX video. And that's where I kind of got the vision for, where I started seeing them do what they were doing, and they were compiling enough footage to where, man, we can start doing this if we all get together. And that was my vision of it. And I think putting that kind of style in front of bass fishing and bass fishing fans really made it more fun in a sense.
Yeah.
And I think in that sense, we did kind of start the movement of, hey, let's put the camera on the boat and film our day of fishing. And
there was a commitment there,
Had the handy cam, you had to secure it in the seat, and then you had to have some kind of battery power going to it. It was so un-GoPro years.
Yeah, all these young guys right now listening and watching this, they're saying, shit, man, why don't you just go to Best Buy and get a GoPro? Bro, there were no GoPros back then, bro.
No one had filmed fishing like that really either. So yeah,
and you're fishing spot to spot. It's not like you can sit there and fish over and over. So you got to tear down, drive, set it up, get ready, go.
Don't cast it. Cast it. Yeah. Okay, you can cast now.
Yeah. Now let's clear. Let's yeah. Go ahead. What do you got?
Comment from the message board.
Yeah.
Who was it, Dave?
Buck Stronghold Gentleman Bronco wants to know, guys. This guy wants to know which DVD has been watched more, this Big Bait Posse or Pam and Tommy Lee on the boat?
Oh, I don't know. I'd say they've got equal amount of views.
I responded Pam's Clam all day long.
Pam's Clam. Yeah, but are they? But some people are more focused on Tommy's Big Bait, not Pam's Clam.
Swim bait.
Huddleston.
Oh no!
Definitely part of the posse.
Tommy's Lunker Plunker. I did want to.
Hey,
go ahead, Dave.
While we're on IM, there's one more I want to get it away, guys. Bailey, true or false? Did you glue 2 7-inch Senkos together to win a tournament out there?
That wasn't me. That was my brother, Sean. You guys are going to talk to him in a little bit, but absolutely happened. We were sitting in an empty apartment. I had just moved to Clear Lake that day, and he comes up and he says, I'm going to use Mend It and mend it these 2 giant 7-inch Senkos together. And then he double Texas rigs it. He rigs it with a Texas rig and then has a trailer down to another EWG on the other side of this 14-inch Senko and says, I'm throwing this tomorrow. His first cast, he catches a 989 and wins 10 grand and never gets another bite on it the rest of the day.
Wow,
dude.
Yep.
That's
I have to tell you
insane.
the story about it. It was unbelievable.
He told me what he was going to do and the spot he was going to do it on before he left 10 hours away.
Oh,
wow.
my God.
That's rad, dude.
No practice, no anything. It was just one of those full intuition and great call.
That's insane.
Great question.
That's insane. All right, now I do want to clear the air before we start this, and I want to get your guys. I'm going to go through each of you and get your opinion on who started the swim bait movement. Who is the guy? Who's your mentor with big bait fishing? Matt, let's start with you because I think I know the answer. I read an article where you quoted, I think it was Dana, or I think he went fishing with somebody. You credited him. But let's start with you, Matt. Who started swim bait fishing, big bait fishing?
Well, Dana was the one that taught me it, and he was the one that took it to tournaments. He actually had a 63-pound limit in a team tournament, an ABA team tournament.
What?
So, yes, it's legit ABA. But before him, I mean, Alan Cole was maybe a couple months before him or so, because he was using Alan Cole's baits.
Yeah.
And before him was Jim Mason. And Jim Mason is a local that he's an old grumpy. He's been like 80 for the last 20 years.
I can relate.
I mean, he looks just like a farmhand, like really wrinkled guy, the Marlboro kind of guy. Anyway, he was using this bait called a dinosaur. And it's a 12-inch rubber boot tail bait that we were using for the big lingcods in the ocean. And he had an idea, and he was doing. I mean, I was a little kid, and looking at him coming in with these fish, and I'm just like, what part of the lake? Like it was so couldn't grasp what he was doing, and that he was doing it by himself with no one to look at, follow, nothing, crushing.
Wow.
So that was. He had to be the first. Alan Cole was right after. And then Dana took it to tournaments with what was TNT's name? Tokahara. Forgotten his name. Darren Tokahara. Yeah, he was making those baits. He was making a huge wooden bait. This is back in 2000.
Wow. That's amazing. That's a good segue. Dave, I want to get your opinion on who started all this. But before I do that, I want to give you credit because I got to say you have to be a part of this wooden swim bait thing from the very beginning. Joint wooden swim baits, wooden swim baits without a lip. You got to be right up there with one of the first guys creating these things.
That was copying other things too, and there was always, the AC plug, the AC minnow, all those, and then honestly practicing in a pool, the bill broke off, hit the, and it still swam.
Yeah.
That's really how it all happened. And Paul's brother Sean, we worked at a place together, Matt, and we wouldn't work. We would just go and make lures. I'm not kidding. We would work all day, and our boss was cool enough to just ask for one or whatever. He didn't care.
Yeah.
That's really how it happened. Was just they were expensive. Sean, I think, bought one on eBay for an outrageous amount.
Here's a good story.
Yeah.
So right when I got my first hand-carved trout from Ken, it was a piece of art. And I showed Sean, and he was sick. He's like, oh, I hate you. So we went out together, and he was so jealous. That night, he took his dad's broom, he chopped it in half, and pinned them together. And he was like, look what I got. I got a big bait, too. So we roll out, and we both throw over this point, and we're probably 10 feet apart. And I start winding mine for the first time, and it's just snaking through the water. I'm like, oh, my God. And he goes, oh, yeah? And he turns the handle on his, and his just does an L turn and locks up and just starts coming through the water like broken. Like, I'm like, boom! He gets blown up on.
That sounds like a scene from the original Breakin' movie. It's popping and locking with the broomstick.
Breakin' was different than Beach Street.
Yeah, Breakin' and Beach Street were totally different, Dave. Get that shit straight. Definitely. But Dave, honestly, does it piss you off because you look at it, designing these wooden baits, pioneer of these segmented baits, lipless segmented baits. Now you've got triple trout, you've got Roman-made mothers, you've got all these freaking baits selling for $300-$400 a piece. Does that piss you off, or is it flattering?
I mean, it doesn't. I guess it's kind of flattering, but it's at the same token. There's no way to. Out of 20 baits, one of them was effective.
Right.
There's so much work. There's so much whatever. I think it's always about chasing that magic bait and just having something that. I think the worst part about it is that there's more of those baits out there now.
Yeah.
Where before we kind of had a little secret weapon where, nobody had they never saw it, and fish are smart. They bite it once, and
the patience that we fished them at. So, jumping around here, our lake, that Lake Casitas went through a real bad time, and it's coming back now. There's some big fish coming back, and so I'm getting excited throwing them again. But you have to take a deep breath, because when we were fishing these things, we're dead sticking and taking a really long time to get them in, a real long time, and you find yourself just winding again. You're like, I gotta stop.
Yeah.
It's like Clear Lake, you can get away with winding. When I filmed with you, that area there, you could wind pretty good. But on the pressured lake, we really had to let those baits sit there.
And then you could see like a trout, a live trout sitting there waiting, and then you're just trolling around and then waiting for it to get found. And then all of a sudden they'd start getting chased, and you'd throw on them, and it was that kind of a thing. But that's how our lures would have to work, because that's how those trout were.
Yeah.
They were just there waiting, and then as soon as somebody found them, it was game on, and that's how they react to those.
Yeah.
Those. I mean, that was really all it was just getting a lot more of that.
And that's a great segue. I do want to talk. This is Ike Live. It's not BU, but I do want to talk a little fishing info here today too, which is when you watch that video. I don't want to say it looks easy, but it almost looks like, man, you just throw this bait out and all of a sudden you're catching an 8 to 10 pounder. Like, to a lot of people, there, I think there's a mystique that, like, you're going to throw it, you'll get a big bite, it's easy. But what you just said, Matt, I agree. And Paul, I want you to chime in too, which is, dude, there's so much strategy and technique to fishing these big baits. It's not as easy as throwing it and reeling it. I learned so much that day I fished with you guys, but I'll give you a story real quick, and then I want you guys to talk about how much skill is involved in this. I want to say it was like a year later, I jumped in the boat with Ish Monroe and Bub Tosh. And, dude, we went out somewhere over near Ish. We threw a Huddleston all day. I mean, threw it all day. Never had a bite, doing all the stuff right on all the right spots. And, like, at the very end of the day, we were just so frustrated. We were tired. Like, we had enough. Let's get the hell out of here. The very end of the day, we look over, and, like, out of the corner of our eye, we see this trout being chased by, like, 2 or 3 giant bass. Just, the trout was almost making this weird noise as he jumped out of the water. It's like, and we looked at each other and we're like, what the fuck?
How big do you think the bass were?
8 to 10 pounders, like giants. And, we look at each other like so frustrated that we threw at this point 150 times during the day, if not more. And now the real, the bass comes by and eats the real thing like it's a piece of candy. Like, what were we doing wrong? So it's not as easy as throwing it and catching them. Talk a little bit about that. Paul, chime in a little bit on fishing these big baits.
Yeah, it's kind of like just to kind of start off where they left off. The fish get really smart.
Yeah.
And that was the whole ticket to our success back in the early days, was we're the only ones throwing Dave's hand-carved wood baits and my brother Sean's hand-carved wood baits.
Yeah.
And just hadn't seen them before. And then, we went from a 2-piece bait to a 3-piece bait. And that was like, oh, man, then you just got 3 times as many bites the next day when they saw that. But you'd be surprised it would take a matter of 2 or 3 days on the lake for those fish to get hip to each bait. And so they get really, really smart. Now you throw in, where we are today and all these different options we have with colors and sink rates and sizes and all this other crazy stuff. It's like, I just think that where we are now versus where we are then, the fish are a lot smarter. So now we have to be even smarter ourselves to be able to get those fish to react like they used to. And it's getting harder and harder, but there's always something new that comes out that makes them do it. And so everybody's looking for the next new thing. And while we're waiting for that, we're just refining where we got to be, when we got to be there, and how we got to put that bait out there to get bit. And we're trying to do that the best we can every time out.
Yeah, and that's the beauty of fishing, right? It's that puzzle. And whether you're fishing a 2-inch freaking worm on a shaky head or a 12-inch swim bait, it's about that puzzle. Let me remind everybody watching, we're talking Big Bait Posse. We got some of the original guys on talking about this whole thing. You got a question or comment, please hit us up on our IM. Dave, what do we got? We got a couple coming through.
Yeah, so we have a couple. So, hey guys, so Ian West, he's the host of a Canadian fishing podcast called
Canada.
Fear Fishing. He's a big fan of you guys.
Canada.
He said that ever since your video, he never stopped wearing a flat brim hat.
See that?
He also said that should at least earn him a signed DVD from one of you guys to at least send to the studio so he can display it.
Come on, Ian.
Oh, man. Those DVDs are like gold now, I guess. I have 2 copies. I believe I know where one other copy is, and I don't know where any other copies
Look
are.
at that thing, guys. I got one with the cellophane still on it.
Of course, Mike has one still sealed.
I have it sealed. It's not gonna, I'm not opening that thing.
It's $1 million copy right there.
So, guys, all 3 of you can answer this question. Mike O wants to know, in your opinion, for each 3, he wants to know, is it more about the presentation or the bait specifically, in your opinion?
You want to start, Matt, or do you want me to go?
Go ahead, Paul.
Okay. For me, it's about the presentation. And it's also about the time of year. I think the time of year and giving them the opportunity at the right time is absolutely more important than any bait choice you can make. There's sometimes a year where I'm pretty sure I can throw my shoe over a certain point with a hook on it and catch one. And that's just, they're looking for those size baits, and that's when we really start throwing them more and more. There's a few times throughout the year where I don't have a bait over 6 inches on my deck, and it's for a 5, 6, 7 month period during summer, and it seems like I've kind of backed off the big bait fishing when it's not the right time, as opposed to trying to find out which bait or which color is going to work for that one bite that day. I focus more on there's a right time at every lake. Once you learn the time you got to throw it, that's when I really focus my attention on it.
That's a good one.
Yeah, I think that presentation is as important, but then the bait, you can't catch fish out of 40 with a topwater bait. So you do need a 12. Or say a 12 HUD. You do need a deep, heavy swim bait when in the winter months. Not always, but when the bite's deep, you've got to have a deep one. When it's on the top, a glide bait is epic, and then going to the Lunka Punkers. I mean, that really changed things. That was a huge topwater bait.
Yeah.
So baits, there's a time of year where you have to apply the right bait, but I've tried ever since that days. I keep it simple. I look at baits as tools. They're just straight tools. I don't need 2 hammers. I don't need 2 Phillips. I've got my my 5 HUD, my 12 HUD, my glide bait. I've got my 12-inch glide baits, then my smaller ones, but I don't have 5 different brands of a 6-inch glide bait. I don't have different. I try to keep it simple. Otherwise, you're going to be spending too much time trying different stuff too. It's a tool. We've got that column covered.
Right. Yeah, and you just can't force feed. You can't make them eat a swim bait in 40 foot if they're
on the bank.
Yeah. So you just got to have the right bait for what you're trying to or where you're trying to target them at. You know, and that's
color near isn't as near important as putting it in the right spot at the right time. That's definitely my opinion for sure.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah, we get down on colors, but they don't matter.
It doesn't matter. We always say at the end of the day, every time we go fishing together, me and Matt, we talk about it. We're like, do you think it was the color? You think if we tried a different color tomorrow, they would still bite it? And then we're always like, yeah, I'm pretty sure you can throw a pink one out there and they'll eat it. It's just being in the right place at the right time and figuring that part of it out. And the rest kind of just seems easy on those days when they actually go ahead and bite it.
Yeah.
So we have one more, guys, from a guy very active on the IM tonight. His name's Epic Eric. He wants to know from each 3 of you, what is your only, if you can only throw one bait on the end of your rig,
ooh,
what's the only bait you're throwing?
That's a good one. I think Eric just won something. That's a good one.
I know Eric.
Eric, send your info through.
Dave, you start.
Like a big bait, it'd be a Huddleston. No, not one specific weight, but it would be a HUD, no question.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have to say the same thing.
Yeah.
It's if I had to go back in time to go win some tournaments and I was only allowed one bait, it'd be a Huddleston.
No question.
Yeah.
Yeah, even to this day, from then till now, I think all three of us, and my brother Justin included, and everybody else in the DVD, we've caught more fish on a Huddleston, and made more money in tournaments on a Huddleston, and fished when it counts. That's, I think, by far all of our choices. I can't speak for Sean or Justin, but definitely a Huddleston.
Yeah.
One more, guys. One more, really good one. Patrick Loudon wants to know: do you prefer braid, fluoro, or mono?
Oh.
And it's a long one. What leader or knots do you prefer? Specifically knots. What kind of knots do you prefer?
Me and Paul are opposite on this one.
Oh, we have debates for hours on the phone over this, me and Matt, because we have complete opposite views on it. Well, not really, but we're just on the glide bait part of it. I fish fluorocarbon on all baits that are going to be subsurface 10 feet. So if I'm fishing a top hook bait or a half ounce, 3/4, 1 ounce, 2 ounce bait, something that's going to be fished to 10 to 40 foot, I'm going to throw fluorocarbon every single time. And that's just to keep the line gets down. I can track the bait better. I know where it is on the bottom. It's not coming up when I'm swimming it like it would with braid. Now with a glide bait, every glide bait I throw, and I throw maybe 3 different kinds, I kind of tend to fish a different braid to a leader, or sometimes straight fluorocarbon. And it's kind of just the way each bait acts is what I use. And if I do use a leader, when I go braid to a leader, I go braid to a 30-pound mono, and I use a uni knot every single time.
Uni knot, yeah. It's a good one.
And I'm straight braid. I've had even Paul's brother Sean. He's an absolute braid to leader guy too. And we've had arguments, and I go, it doesn't matter. To me, it doesn't. So I go straight braid on all my glide baits.
Wow.
I don't that knot. Yep. Never had an issue. You have to mend it a little bit better, a little differently when you're
the whole thing.
Yeah, like if you're swooshing a glide bait, and if you're not doing a line pickup right, the braid will drop and your front hook will grab it. But I've since that's the only way I do it, it doesn't happen to me. I mean, Sean literally has been on my shoulder going, well, this is going to happen. And I go, well, it's not happening. And I think it's because it's the only way I've done it. Yeah. So I pick up the reel subconsciously. I pick up that slack.
Yeah.
But
yeah, and you can't fish just braid with like a top water wood. It will always pick it up.
Right.
So you have to go to a leader on that. But aside from that, braids, it's just so sensitive, like so instant.
Yeah.
Like,
there was a tournament eye-opening at Clear Lake. I fished with Paul, and we were fishing glide baits. And there were some spots where we were like ticking the tops of the grass on some spots and getting a bit better. And one of us was all braid and one of us was all fluoro. Right. And the fluoro was pulling down the glide bait a little deeper, and it was getting bit better on some spots. But then the other spots, it was hitting the grass and bogging it up, so you had to go straight braid. So remember that one? Like I'm like, hey, mine's not hitting. So
yeah, absolutely. And so I don't think you can generalize it as I only throw this with this. I think every circumstance, every braid, it requires a different setup, and that's why there's so many options now, and that's why we're all so much more evolved, because the options that we have now with all of this, and that's kind of what keeps it fun.
Yeah, that's a good point, because you made the great point where fish are smarter, right? This isn't 2007. Fish have seen a lot of swim baits, but the equipment's better. A lot of the baits are better, right? Matt, jump in on this one with the rods and reels. I remember, even back in 2007, a lot of them seemed like dinosaurs compared to the equipment that we have now. So has that balanced it? The fish are smarter, they're getting more pressure, but we have better rods, better line, better baits. Is it a balance?
Well, probably not. I mean, I still think they have the advantage, but we're closing the gap. The equipment, yes. I mean, my old musky rods were heavy and bulky, and it was a pain. And the reels, we were using ambassadors in the beginning, some of those old 5500s.
Yeah.
So that was awful. And then obviously, then we went to the Shimano Cardiffs for a while, or for forever, really. And my setup is, it weighs probably my rod and reel. We have an iRod Bailey swim that Paul designed for all of this, and it probably weighs with the reel 8 ounces, 6, 7, 8 ounces.
Wow. Yeah, it's ridiculous. Yeah, and so everything's just so much more advanced now, and we're trying to balance it out, but I don't think it's balancing out. They're still way smarter than we are.
Right. you could give me a laser beam rod, and I still can't catch them better.
It's funny you should say that, guys, because Wawa Hoagie Lady on our board said the fish look both ways in New Jersey when they cross the street.
Oh my God! Only for Wawa Hoagie later. I do want to get back to the video for a second. I want to switch gears and get back to this video. Who's responsible? Because again, this to me, when I look at this, this is just the biggest breakthrough in the fishing world. It took fishing from these boring, freaking fall asleep videos to something exciting in your face. Who was the mastermind behind this? Who was responsible for the music, the Wild West sound effects, all of it? Whose idea was this?
It's funny you asked. My buddy Kurt Haller, he was a big part of the backing of me when I raced BMX bikes. He created Moto Triple X, which Krusty Demons of Dirt, Moto Triple X, all these videos were starting to come out in late 90s, early 2000s. He was a part of creating all of those and filming, editing, getting music rights, doing all that. Just so happens, one day I was riding my BMX bike and we were filming a video for one of my sponsors. And the Moto Triple X crew ended up coming to the trails that we were at. And they were filming for one of their new videos. I got hooked up with a guy by the name of Jordan, introduced me to Kurt, and then me and Kurt ended up sponsoring me. He started a supercross team that was traveling around the country with a box van and full-fledged sponsors and everything. And he ended up paying for a lot of my BMX stuff, fully sponsored me, supported me for a long time throughout my BMX career. So after BMX was kind of dying, I ended up breaking my leg. I broke my jaw. You know, I kind of had to look for other options. Me and Kurt stayed friends. We golfed all the time. And I kind of brought this idea to him like, hey, man, do you want to step out of your comfort zone and try this in fishing?
Yeah.
We really need your help with this. The music, everything has to be right for this to work. And would you help us? And he was really the mastermind behind it. Now, there was quite a few other editors and sound guys that helped us pick all the I forgot the sound that we used for it, and then the titling and all that good stuff, the graphics, that was all sent off afterwards. So there was quite a few guys involved in that, and that was all thanks to Kurt. Kurt was a big help with that.
Wow. Pretty incredible, pretty breakthrough.
Shout out to Kurt for not using country music.
Shout out to Kurt. Thank you, Kurt.
Yeah, Kurt, thank you for not using country music, but gas face to Kurt for spelling my name wrong on the cover of this DVD. It's actually Lacanelli, which every hotel in the United States does at some point during the year.
They call you Lacanelli?
Yeah, no one believes two vowels can be in I and A can be next to each other, so it's very common.
Nobody's ever spelled my name right. Did he spell it right
yeah.
or wrong?
No, it's wrong on the cover. It's Mike Lacanelli. Right
You said
there.
Lacanelli?
Yeah, Lacanelli.
I never noticed that.
Oh, man. You know what? In all honesty, that's probably my fault because I probably had the final say in sending that off.
I think it's great. That's okay. And at the time, I think I was lactating, so it makes sense.
I remember you had a hockey jersey. You were Lacanelli too.
Oh yeah,
at least one.
It's always
better than that. Big shout out to the gas face.
The gas face, yeah.
Gas face.
You remember that?
Very, very strong, bro.
Yeah.
Strong pull. I appreciated that.
Big shout out to the gas face. I gotta ask this. I know this has probably already come up on the message board, and these guys don't put everything through because some of them they think are too controversial. But I don't give a shit. I have to ask you guys.
About Mike Long?
Yeah, I have to ask about it. I have to ask about it. We hear so many opinions come through the show from guys on the East Coast, guys from the Midwest, guys from club fishermen to pro ranks. But I want to hear from you guys. You guys live it more than anybody. You breathe it. Give us your opinion on the whole Mike Long situation.
Well, on posts, you mean, or during the time where he wasn't busted?
All of it. I mean,
man, it's gonna be a long show. Let's go.
So he was introduced to me right after we kind of got going. The Posse, I think, was out maybe, or it was just before that actually. I think I had that big day maybe. So I was introduced to him, and I hate to be a turkey talker, but I remember the first confrontation we had, and he was introduced to me. You gotta call this guy. He's just as big of a swim baiter as you guys. So I remember talking to him, and he had no input on swim baits. All he wanted to talk about was jigs. And I remember hanging up going, well, that was weird. When does he swim bait fit? And we had probably 2 or 3 conversations over the years, very short ones, but there was never swim bait talk, and there was all these swim bait pictures.
Yeah.
And I just remember it being weird, and I remember bringing it up. I remember bringing it up to other people, saying I thought it was weird. I was not accusing him of being a poacher at the time. No, it wasn't. But I thought it was weird that he never talked about them. That was his MO, and he whenever we talked, it was just jigs. That's all he fished. But post, I think it's just you get caught up in that fame, and it's a hard thing to stay in. I mean, the last time I caught a 10-pounder, it's been a while.
Yeah.
To break 10, and it's hard. So if that's your living, you know, we managed to live on tournaments and other stuff, guiding, that got us through to today.
Yeah.
But for him, it was big baits. It was, or at least that was his MO, or big fish.
Yeah.
So as hard as they are to get, you start to get desperate, and I think that was happened.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. Do you think? I mean, has it tarnished? You know, obviously it's tarnished Mike Long for forever, for the rest of his eternity. But has it tarnished big bait fishing in general? Has it tarnished swim bait fishing?
No, I don't think Well, I know the community never considered him part of it. I just don't. I think they did. And then the rest of the world, I mean, it might be a shock. I guess it'd be a shock to them. I mean, us in California knew the story about 5 years before it broke. The boys that put that out tried to get that word out 5 years earlier, and it just never got traction. And I remember spinning out going, wait a minute, this guy just got busted and he's still out doing this, because it never got traction. Okay, well, maybe I started second guessing. Maybe he didn't really do it. Why is he still here? But then these guys got so upset they put some film to it, and that was the nail in the coffin.
Yeah.
That was it.
Yeah. It's interesting because, you know, again, we've heard from a lot of people, and the thing that gets me, and I think you hit it, Matt. I think sometimes, you know, people can get caught up, you know, in certain things, and maybe that's what happened to Mike. But for me, like the failure part of the sport, the failure part, the not catching them, the getting broke off, the having that giant follow and not catch it, that drives me more than catching them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, my earliest mornings were the day after a terrible day. You know, I'll get earlier.
Yeah.
Good way to put it.
And that's how you know. That's how you know when someone's real and has that true passion for it, and someone that doesn't.
Yeah.
And I just don't think he did. He was in it for the wrong reason. He didn't have the passion of fishing. He had the passion of look at me.
Yeah.
From the get-go, he never fished. You know, really, he was a true. Anyway.
Yeah.
Weird.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because, you know, I remember, like, in my life, I've said this before on the show, and Dave and Brian know this well because I've known him for so many years, but I don't remember a lot of things in life, dude. I have a horrible memory on mostly everything except fishing shit. It's like, dude, I can close my eyes and remember, like, exact things that happen. I can smell smells that happen. And it's funny, when I remember back on filming this, the things I remember more than the ones I caught were the other things. Like, I remember having a giant, Matt, I don't know if you remember, but, like, we were up against this Thule edge, and I had a giant, like, bigger than anything we caught that day, snaking behind it. And I was so crushed that I could not figure out a way how to make that thing eat the swim bait, you know? I was so crushed. I remember that. I remember netting big ones from you. You caught a lot of big ones that day. I remember that. But it was...
I remember the giant one I had. It was a giant one, and the camera crew had just raced over to Ish, and we had a camera, but when you went to grab the net, the camera knocked over. Do you remember that? It was
I
the big
do
one.
remember that.
And I go to catfish Mike. He's like, "Are you sure?" I go, "Oh yeah, this thing's pulling. It's a catfish."
Yeah.
And then, oh, well, catfish don't jump. I have the audio still because the camera fell over and went black. But you and me are going, "No, Mike." And you go, "No, catfish don't jump." And then you hear it break the water, and both of us go,
"Oh my God!"
The best audio on that one. That was a giant.
Yeah, it was incredible. I mean, it's hard, you know, it's hard to describe it. Like I said, it was so many years ago, and it's, for me to look back, I didn't realize what was happening at the time. I didn't realize the experience of, you know, I was having. I mean, Dave, it was like I was thrust into the world of this big bait fishing. I'm an East Coast guy. I'm a Jersey guy. Like, a big bait in Jersey is like a 6-inch culprit. Texas rig, you know? And I remember the mystique of it, of being an East Coast guy and being put in the boat, you know, being surrounded by you guys that were so good at it. It was an amazing moment for me. And I don't know if I ever got to thank you guys, but thank you for allowing me to be a part of that. It was
awesome.
It was something, I mean, it changed my life. So thank you very much.
That's rad. Thanks, Mike. The whole, sorry, one second. The whole, the whole way you got there too. The whole trip where we called you the day before, and you go, well, how long is it going to be good for? And I go, tomorrow. That was it. So he couldn't find a flight to L.A., so he ended up going, well, I found a flight to Oakland, and Ish can drive me. It lands at midnight, and then we can drive all night, and we could be there around 5:30. And I'm like, we'll be waiting.
Man.
And
passion,
the whole
baby.
first cash, you got one.
Craziest thing in the world. I miss those days. I miss those days of being able to be more of a gypsy, you know, and just to freewheel like that. Can you imagine having that time now, Bri, where you're like, you know, you get a call from your buddy on the West Coast.
I dream about it.
Come fish. You're like, yeah, come on, man.
Let me ask you this, Mike. Do you and Brian miss the days when you shamed me about a big swim bait before these guys were even born, when I was trying to throw one? Listen, California guys, check this out. So, right? Around like 92, 93, I break out the 6-inch shad wrap that Rapala was making.
Oh, the musky size.
Before Mike knew they would build him a castle, I was throwing that bait, okay? And they shamed me out of throwing it. I was throwing it on a flipping stick because I figured that would be the best way to present it. Do you guys remember shaming me out of the bait?
Oh, yeah. We shamed you out a lot. Not just that one, but a lot of them.
We trolled it on Lake Champlain.
Exactly, we did. Yeah, listen. I had a theory that it would work. You know, I didn't know anything about California. The thing I knew about California was I wanted to live there because I was a BMX guy too, Mr. Paul Bailey. All right, I wished I was you. Like that's who I wanted to be. But listen, they shamed me out. Don't let Mike talk about all the swim bait shit, because I'm telling you right now, he's a fraud on that, because he totally dissed me on that about 30 years ago.
All right, now look, a giant fucking shallow diving shad wrap is not the same as the swim bait that these guys are throwing.
But
first of all,
that's all I had. You think cavemen wouldn't want a rifle? All right.
Hey, Mike, after that day, I gave you a bait because you were so enamored staring at it. That one that was. Do you still have that?
I'm 99% sure I still have it. So I scrambled through my big baits before the show came on. I've got a bunch sitting here on the coffee table, but I couldn't find that one. But here's the thing.
What was it?
Your eyes were. Remember, he was like,
That was his favorite bait. He still talks about it. His favorite lucky bait.
I just wanted to know if it ever did anything for you.
I'm telling you, I am a hoarder. I do not throw baits away, and I'm 99% sure I still have that one. Like, literally, I'm a hoarder. If you know the TV show about the hoarders on the show, that's me with fishing tackle.
That's awesome.
I've never get rid of a lure. I just want to know. We talk about Byron every once in a while. We bring Byron up in the show. Have you guys heard from Byron lately? Has anybody contacted Byron? Been in contact with him?
2 years ago was the last time I saw him, and he was raising his daughter. That was like his full-time deal, and he was happy too.
Yeah.
But fishing, well, I don't know if he's fishing. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think Byron, Byron Velvick might get a bad rap in some respects. He may be a little misunderstood, but I think Byron was a big part of this movement too.
He was the first guy to do it in tournaments.
Yeah.
That was, he literally did. I mean, he had the record in bass. What year was that? That was 2000, maybe?
Yeah, sounds about right.
Yeah.
There's still a cove named here at Clear Lake. It's called Byron's Corner. Ever since he won in 2000, that corner of the lake is Byron's Corner. So he was a huge influence on swim bait fishing, let alone our video.
And there's like a dozen bachelorettes with Brian's essence.
Byron.
And the fact that there's a giant floating penis in that cove probably has something to do with it. It's called Byron's Cove.
Yeah, a half dozen dead whitefish laying in the corner.
These darn adult bookstore buys.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's crazy.
Shout out to Byron.
Shout out to Byron.
Yeah.
I've been dying to ask you this too, guys, and I very, very, very much value your opinion, and I know there's a million people watching and listening right now thinking the same thing. You guys were on the cutting edge of all this way, way back then. Now, what's the next big thing? What if we're sitting here right now having this conversation saying the next big thing in fishing? It doesn't even have to be swim baits, but I want to hear from each of you. Dave, start with you. What's the next big thing that we're going to see?
It's going to be it's going to be a different way that these lures get retrieved. I don't know, like that's going to be the new. I think that's the next direction is a self-swimming bait of some sort that doesn't.
All right, I'm going the other way with that one.
Yeah.
Not the other way. I'm going to go another angle. It's going to be graphing technology. Right now, it's gotten so incredible.
Yeah.
Where the scanning is going on. If we can start scanning deeper water, like if I could go scan a point out in 40 foot, that's a long cast away, which is going to be the future. We're not there yet, I don't think.
Yeah.
But this one, maybe the military, I'm sure is. But I think that's it. So we can start really, because that's changed the game now. The guys winning tournaments on our lakes are solely saying they're winning because of live scope or that kind of technology. Every fish they're catching is on that. And I think that gets better. You can start throwing a bait at every little dot that you see on your graph instead of hoping you're riding by one.
Yeah.
I think that's the future.
Well, that's out of my world. But yeah, that probably is.
And I think, I'm kind of with Dave on it. I think it's going to be the way a certain lure swims. We were all blown away by a wake bait. We were all blown away when the triple trout came out and how the fish reacted to it and never seeing it before. I remember Matt's first words out of his mouth when he saw one, me too, was, "It's the ugliest looking bait in the world. I'd never throw that."
Yep.
And all of a sudden you have 15 8 to 10 pounders chasing it off a point on your first cast, and you're like, "Oh, I can't believe this is what it went to." Like, I can't believe this is what it went to when we thought no chance, no how. So me and Dave's his own little experiment over there. He's going to come out with something cool, and I'm hoping it does something like this in the water. We don't need side to side. Every fish goes side to side. I want to see this sucker go up and down, up and down, up and down. Give me something like that, Dave, and we're going to change the direction in the way this world.
Dave's been making baits for the whole time, and I've got a truckload of baits that he's made me when I'm off to tournaments. He's like, "Hey, try this," and he's giving me a crankbait that goes 45 feet.
Yeah,
he's got we've been pushing him because he's making baits and selling them to friends, but we've pushed him now, and he's started his site, Hangry Bait Co.
Yeah,
I'll let you talk about it.
No, I mean that's it. And I got some ideas. I think that's really what it is. I think it's just like when you started with Sean and the broomstick, and how yours is swimming perfect. You don't know exactly what it is until it's there.
Right.
Exactly.
The trout was an early glide bait. The reason I say that is because all of our swim baits to the time, they came in like a snake.
Yeah.
Where the triple trout, the way Paul, at least, or I don't know who was it, Paul or Sean that taught me on the triple trout, but it was if you burp it, it would jerk it out to the side, and that's when you trigger the bites.
Yeah.
So the glide bait, that's what it is. So those are 10 years later.
And even that triple trout, when you could get it and it could almost face them, and then there was no any time you could get a lure. That's why a lure to face a fish, they got nothing else but to eat it. It's so that thing was gnarly for a while, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It all evolves. It's every bait at its moment.
And then we can get a bait that tracks, that can track crazy. That's if you could get a bait that comes in and would dart out 3 feet to the side, just like we were all trying to get to a crankbait to do.
Yeah.
That to me, because I watch these fish come up on our baits and they're almost in a trance. But you see like a live fish and they can't be tranced. It's left, right, left, right, left, right. Oh my God, they got to get it.
Yeah.
And I think we can get our baits to track, and like the glide bait was the first tracking swim bait because it would, if you pump it and push forward, the bait will dive out, and some of the gang traps will go 3 feet, 4 feet.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting how I would agree with everything you said, especially the movement part, and not just in swim baits, but in all of fishing. It's so interesting to see how different movements trigger different bites, different responses.
And then Paul,
Yeah,
I fished a lot with Paul, and he was able to. Every time he saw a chaser, pretty much he would get a reaction where I'd get frustrated because you could just see him not get interested anymore. But that's so much of the battle is to be able to get them to actually commit.
Yeah. Right, and what that next piece of the puzzle is guys, it's yet to be seen. We're gonna have to see it and find out what that turns into. That's the fun part for me still is what's going to be the next one that makes those fish really dumb.
Yeah, it's so interesting. It's so interesting, and I wonder if it's big movement or if it's lack of movement. I follow a lot of what's going on in Japan too. I try to keep my pulse on that, and I'm seeing more and more big baits that don't have any movement. They're coming through straight as a damn arrow, except maybe like just a little tail vibration or something. So maybe it's lack of movement. I don't know. I wonder what the next big thing will be.
Here's something to think about: is fish don't have wind, right? They have no wind. They don't have any sense of movement, really. It's not there. So if you look at a Huddleston, and Ken was the one that really hammered this into me, and I'm starting to really see it more and more in everything I do. But if you look at if you burn a Huddleston in, it puts two vortexes off, two whirlwinds off the tail. And if you think about a fish that's following something, and all of a sudden he's feeling this whoosh across his sensors are, if his lateral line or whatever it is, that's their trigger of there's movement here. That's the swirls, and it's recognizable because it's hitting the cheeks. I'm getting silly with it, but we kind of have to sometimes. And I think there's something to do with that too. I think that they get triggered by it.
I think there's a reason why that HUD is so amazing.
There's something to it. There's no movement to that really either, but that tail vibrating back.
Yeah. We'll see what it is. Let me remind everybody watching, if you've got a question, a comment for any of these guys, please hit us up. Dave, we got a couple coming through. You want to push through?
Well, yeah, we do. But actually, Paul, I'd like to ask you a question.
Okay.
So, your BMX background. Our last show, Mike remembered that our dear Brian, Mike and I were both big flatland guys. We really didn't have many tracks to go to. We didn't really have many ramps. We had half pipes here and there, but we were huge on flatland, right? So, what did you have any friends that showed up with weird bikes in your group? Brian got a Murray X24 when the rest of us had I had a Harrow, Mike had a GT, did any of your friends show up with an odd bike?
No, it was kind of funny because the way it kind of worked with me, I had two buddies that I grew up with that we rode bikes all the time, but no, we kind of kept our clique small, and it seems like we always were the ones that had the newest, best bikes and whatnot. Being where we were kind of in the heart of the BMX scene at the time. But no, man, I had two friends that raced bikes, and everybody else thought I was crazy, and I was chasing the movie Rad my whole life. But it worked out pretty well.
Why was there only one Rad? How come they didn't do one better than that?
Kurt Jones could have done 17 movies, I know. But I don't know. It's kind of what got me into it. It's got a bunch of my friends. It started a whole movement in that BMX community, and that definitely is what got me.
Tell me. Yeah, no, I feel bad for Brian. But
hey, we were broke. What the hell?
Yeah, we were broke. I want to run this past you. There's a lot of young people, kids, and I say kids, and I mean 20 to 30-year-olds when I say kids now, watching right now. They're listening right now. And they're not confident in fishing a big bait, whether it's a HUD, whether it's a glide bait, whatever it is. They just have no confidence. There are places where it'll work, but it seems like something they just can't do. I want to hear one tip from each of you for fishing a big bait. Paul, let's start with you.
For fishing a big bait, a lot of it, like I said before, is reading your lake, reading the lake that you fish. If you go to a lake all the time, you're going to know the characteristics of those fish. Say you pull up there with a swim bait, you throw your swim bait out, and you don't have one follow it, one sniff it, one look at it for 55 casts. All of a sudden, you pick up a spinner bait and you start catching them every cast. That's a good indicator that, A, they're not looking at that big a bait on your lake. So I really do think, or B, they want to feed on something else and not so big. So the way I look at it is every lake's different, and you really got to pick apart your lake and know your lake. Some lakes, they just don't want to eat the big baits. You may catch a dumb one, every 55 trips. Some lakes, they don't look to forage on the big baits. Stay away from those lakes. That's my best advice.
Yeah. It's a good one.
Yeah,
Matt, give me one.
The best. I mean, I get this. I get this question a lot. Every seminar I do, everything I do, I get this question, and I think the most. I don't know if it's the best advice, but it's the advice I've given the most. Is even though you might not call it a big bait, is the HUD 68 is such a good sized bait to start with. It catches 10-pounders. It's got the same size tail as the 8-inch, but it catches 2s and 3s, and it gives you confidence. This little guy, you'll get bit on it a lot, and then it's an easy transition. Then this is a big bait. Technically, it's not that much. I mean, look at the difference.
Yeah.
There's not much there, but this gets bit crazy a lot. So I always tell people, start with I say a 68 because it's not a 6-inch true. It's bigger than a 6-inch bait.
Yeah.
But it's a bulky one. So I say start with that and get confidence in throwing a swim bait and getting bit. Well, you're not grinding a crankbait. You're not dragging a worm. You're feeling the freedom of that swim bait. Get the confidence and then move up.
Yeah, that's a good one. Dave, give me one too.
Honestly, I think it's all of that, but it's just believe. You just gotta you can't psych yourself out. You gotta have confidence. Like that's it. You gotta believe in it. It's what every tournament, everything. When you feel it, it happens. I don't know why. But it's that confidence thing, though. You know, like if you go in there negative, it's so hard to get one.
Yeah.
You know, like you just have to be down.
Go in open-minded, and you have a lot better day and a lot better opportunity because you're fishing a lot different than if you go in saying, this sucks, this is never going to happen. So
I started on earlier saying how Casitas has just gotten good again. I know I spent a whole year throwing a HUD, and I didn't get one fish on it last year. This year, it's insane how a lake can go over 6 months, can change so fast. I flipped my point now. I had a point. I forgot where I was going with that. So now I'm back in it. I haven't caught a fish there in a year, but I found that expecting the bite, keeping that. Every time I turn the handle, I go, I'm going to get bit. I'm going to get bit. And it makes the day go by really fast. It does. It sounds weird, but that anticipation.
Yeah.
Because when I've had the bite. So I've had hundreds of them, and every single one of them gives me the giggles. I caught one with Paul a couple of months ago. My hands were shaking. My hands were shaking on an 8.5-pounder.
That's awesome.
Paul called and he said, "Dude, cruise up, but they're kind of biting." So I took the 10-hour drive up, and first cast, I got an 8.5-pounder, and I just caught a 300-pounder 300-pound bluefin the week before.
Yeah.
And I looked at him and I go, "Dude, my hands are shaking from this fish."
I love it. That's the beauty of bass fishing, isn't it? If you lose that, you better get out of the sport because that's what it's all about.
Sure, yeah.
Now, I want to end this with this. The re-release of this thing for the first time on YouTube, not just in preparation for the show, but I've heard a lot of rumors of a big bait posse too. Let's talk about it, guys. Come on. Is this coincidental, or is this... Give me the scoop on this. Is it possible?
It is possible. We've talked about it so many times. It would take Paul would be easy to do. Me and Paul we could get it done. I can visit Paul. Sean's got to do some driving unless we wanted to do an Arizona version. Justin, he's got such a busy schedule. We've all grown up, so schedules are hard. And to make a posse video, this is my biggest thing, is we can go out and catch a couple fish. To make a posse video, I believe you've got to have 40 good fish on film, if not 80.
Yeah.
You like, hey, and they need to be pretty big. I mean, all of the fish in our video, I look at it now and they do look kind of small because the way the cameras kind of warp it. But every fish in that video was maybe some 8s, but most of them are over 10 pounds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. And so I could say we've got 40, 50 catches over 10 pounds on tape.
Yeah.
Part 2 has to kind of live up to that.
Right.
So,
might be a destination trip. Might be a Mexico lake.
Oh God!
But
yeah,
even then, that's it. Look at how long it took. We had this lake that we went to that often. It would be a commitment. It would.
Another thing about the posse video, which was really cool, is it was over a year span. So we used a bunch of different baits.
Yeah.
We were through different seasons. We were fishing. Dave, I think, had the biggest fish in the whole video, and his was out of deep, deep water.
Yeah.
And then we
remember that one?
Yeah.
It stabbed my thumb when I went for it. Yeah.
And then at the end, we ended the video with all Lunker Punker footage, or at least not water footage. So it was. Speaking of which, I brought this because I get asked so many times for this. This is the bait that I used in that video. Look at that. If you can see.
Holy hell.
All of the weighting came out of it, so I had to glue bullet weights in there. You can see those.
Oh,
wow,
my
dude.
God.
Awesome. Look at that bait. This thing has caught hundreds of fish,
Dude,
over 10
put that
pounds.
thing on the wall. Mount that thing, bro.
Hold on, did you hear what he said? Hundreds over 10.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
But
So
hundreds.
This is the truth.
Yeah.
I haven't caught one.
Yeah.
When we figured out this big topwater bite, I used this, and then when I figured this out, I called Paul, and I said, I got this bait. You got to come fish a tournament with me. And we blew that one out with massive weight. Then I got appendicitis that night. So I called Sean from the hospital. I said, Sean, you've got to drive down right now and fish a big topwater, biggest you can have. And he had a pup fish. And he brought that down. For that month, would you say, Paul, was about a month-long bite? This is not an exaggeration. There was me in my boat, Sean in his boat with Paul, Dave, and then Mike Brakebill and or Justin. So it's about 5 of us on the lake during the summer, and we're getting 10 to 15 bites fish, over 10 pounds each a day.
Oh, my God.
Ridiculous.
10 bites each. Wow.
So we're bringing in 45 fish over 10 pounds in one day, and we did it for a month straight, and the bite didn't start till 11, so you could sleep in.
Oh, my gosh.
there was guys catching 15-pounders, 17-pounders. I mean, these are going on record in the local papers and this and that. I mean, it wasn't a secret. There was a period of time there where Lake Casitas pumped out, I don't know how many 10 to 17-pound fish in a matter of 2 to 3 years.
That's insane.
It had to be clear. There was still everyone was asking us, "What are you guys doing?
Yeah.
You're cheating." People accused us of cheating. So you did it like it was so wide. Go throw anything you're bit.
Yeah.
Fishing was tough until I pulled this out. It was the Hud bite had died.
Yeah.
And we didn't have glide baits, and I pulled this out because we were allowed to cast over buoy lines for a tournament. So I found this musky bait, basically, that I could cast really, really far, and that's how I realized how well it worked, and it opened up that bite.
Wow.
Hey, Paul, the lake you just mentioned, is that the one that the cop, Paul Krupe, almost caught the world record in?
Yes, I believe so.
Oh, that was Casitas.
No, that was Castaic.
What one were you just saying?
Casitas.
Lake
Oh, okay.
Casitas.
All right, got you.
Yep.
Very easily caught a 21-pounder out of there. That's the biggest fish. There was a lot of, not a lot, but a handful of like 18, 19-pounders. That was in the mid-'80s. And then that kind of went away. There was about a 19 caught in about 2004. And then they stopped planting trout. The lake dropped, so there wasn't a stick in the lake. And it got like 11 pounds one tournaments last year.
Wow.
Whoa.
Yeah. So you take away their food source, and they just shrink. And
So they don't
and
stock it with trout anymore?
They just started again.
They just started.
I was at the lake for the first plant last week, and there was trout running around, and this is what trips me out is guys are catching big fish, 8 to 10 pounders, and I'm like, in 6 months, how did this lake do that? It's amazing.
Wow.
Amazing. I think the big fish in these lakes, when they draw down like this, I think they go in the middle and just kind of suspend and become very pelagic.
Yeah.
Because there's no way that lake could come back from 2 pounders. Biggest fish of my whole year was a 390.
Wow.
And this year it's straight 5 and 6 to 8 pounders
Right.
again.
So they didn't disappear. They were there somewhere.
They got skinny and smaller. Like when they first stopped planting, all of the 12 pounders that we had, these giant mega ones, they started getting caught and they were 7 pounders. And you were like, oh, I feel so bad catching them. Then those disappeared and we started catching fat 6 pounders or, that range. And then those started fading. But we got rain. The lake came up. Now we've had brush underwater for 12 months. They started planting and it's like a light switch. Switch. I've got butterflies again going there.
So, Matt, do you think Dave Matthews needs to do a song about it, or what do you think?
What's that?
Do you think Dave Matthews needs to do a song about that lake, or what? Or is it on the rebound?
Yeah, absolutely, dude. I mean, I always said this, and I've said Lake Casitas was the best lake in the whole world. Had to be at its prime. Better than Mexico. I've been to Mexico, but they eat tilapia. I don't know. It's different.
I swear to you, I saw the world record. I'm convinced I seen it in that lake. Couldn't catch it, obviously, but it's what gave that motivation to go there and do these things because you just knew. And honestly, you could have. I mean, Paul at 16. It was 16 that you got. I got 15 and a half. There was 17. Like they were there. Like that opportunity or that possibility was there. They just got smart when they got that old. So you really had to like try to figure, you know.
Yeah. Dave, you caught a 17-pound fish?
Paul did, right?
No, Paul caught it. Oh my god.
It's insane.
When the HUD first came out, it wasn't even out yet. I was friends with Ken, and so he sent me 2 of them as kind of like a early release thing. They were still a year. We had them about a year early, and I fished him, and then I gave Sean one for Sunday. He's like, "I'll come back tomorrow." So I gave him one to fish, and then he called me at like 9 in the morning. I'm working on my trolling motor, and he's like, "Oh my God, we've all had 10 over 10, and Paul's got a 15 and a half." Or it was nuts that day. And everyone, they would catch a fish, cut it off, and trade.
Yeah. My first one on it, I took from Sean, Paul's brother, got on my trolling motor and was speed casting, trying to get away from him, and I caught one, and then I had to give him back the lure.
Oh my God.
What would you guys say if I told you that if any of us send each other a selfie of a 5, we're all like, "Where are you at?"
Right? It's true. It's a different world where we're at here. We're like trapped in the desert.
We were spoiled back then, that's for sure.
Well, let me ask you this. Will there ever be a time or a place as good as that era you're talking about right now? Will it ever be as good as that again, anywhere?
I'm going to say yes. The reason I'm going to say yes is because someone said to me the other day when I released that video, and someone emailed me and going, "Man, I wish I was around during those days. I missed it."
Yeah.
And even though we did have a big fishery, there were some big fish getting caught, but it wasn't. We tapped into it. We tapped into it with obviously a new bait and a ton of drive. Now, where the fish were in there, but there are lakes with those fish in it. And I bet you if you took a crew of us, of kids of us, like psycho guys, and you put them on, there's so many lakes in NorCal. There's a lot of lakes we've never heard of that are plugged, easily as plugged as that lake was. They still plant trout. Paul's got some. We've been trying to get up there and film them, but it's some bad roads.
Yeah.
But I believe that there's plenty of lakes. You need a psycho group of guys. One guy can't do it.
Yeah.
There's too many days where I blanked and I would go, the bite's over, and Sean would open his well and go, "Well, try this bait." And I'm like, "Oh my God." Yeah. So
it's the network, it's the opportunity, and the way that all was created at Lake Casitas. It was 30 minutes outside of northern Los Angeles County. And where we all lived and our network of people that we had, that being so close, is the reason that worked, and we were able to tap into it like we did. And I just don't know if there's another crew of guys out there that are willing, that have that fishery next to them. There's definitely fisheries capable of doing it.
Yeah.
Whether there's a group of guys willing to do what we did to capture that for everybody, I don't know.
Yeah. Well,
we would stay up all night, party, go fish all day. There was no question that we were going to the lake.
Yeah.
But we were doing everything else, and that's a lot of drive right there.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
No, I'd drive straight from Hollywood, drunk, straight to the lake.
Oh,
I'd be
man.
my club clothes, and I'd be changing the parking lot. Like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "I got to take my clothes off and change the fish."
Yeah.
Beer bottles rolling out of the truck.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
Oh.
Well, I got to tell you, honestly, and I'll say it again, I think what happened, what you guys did, this video, it changed the world, honestly, in fishing. It changed the way people think. It changed the way people fish. Big baits, how they capture content. This was such a groundbreaking thing. And what you guys did, it's hard to reflect back and say, man, we did this, but you guys did do that. And I want to give you credit for that. It's pretty amazing. And I think the next group of kids, I think they're out there, man. I hope so. I'm hopeful that there's more totally psycho anglers that are hardcore, dedicated. They love their craft. I hope they're out there.
They're waiting for Guggen to make a swim bait.
They're waiting for Guggen to make a swim bait. That might be true.
You know there's what's also changed, Mike, is the tournaments. When we were younger, there were no tournaments, and as obviously during our prime, the tournaments have now multiplied by a billion. So it also is also harder for these kids to get into the swim bait thing solely. You have to ditch the tournaments.
Yeah.
And if you're going to be serious about tournaments, that's all you can do.
Yeah.
So I was heavy into tournaments when I got into the swim baits and had to take a back seat. Tournaments had to take a rest for a sec. We still threw them in tournaments, and we won them in tournaments. We also got last place a lot too.
Yeah.
So it's going to be harder for kids because every kid fishes tournaments, it seems like. I mean, the sport is 250 boat team tournaments this weekend, sold out.
Yeah.
And before it was 25, and it's changed. So yeah, it'll be hard to find that group of kids that is hungry, that isn't wrapped up in tournaments, that has the time and the resources near a lake. But
there's definitely a movement for that right now. This swim bait underground, the swim bait universe, and all these different places where all these kids are coming together to learn the swim bait craft is exploding. And so there will be who they are. Man, we can't wait to see, because we'd love to see it too.
Yeah, I hope it happens. And if there's young kids watching right now, go for it, man. You could do the same thing. Before we let you guys go, I want to give you a chance to give a shout out and let everybody follow you. I know you got different things going on. Dave, start with you. Tell us a little bit, how can people follow you? You got this bait thing going. How can they cop a couple baits from you?
It's Instagram, Hangry Bait Co.
Yep,
that's it.
Yeah, give him a message. He'll be posting up photos of his baits.
Yeah, I got some things up my sleeve.
Cool, I like it, Matt. I know there's lots of people right now saying, I got to get Paul's swim bait rod. How do they do it? How can they get a hold of you? How can they follow you?
So it's iRod Fishing is the website, and then that's where you can see all the rods. But obviously, Tackle Warehouse. I mean, we have a vast dealer amount, but Tackle Warehouse will get you over there overnight. They have every rod in stock, and it's the Bailey Swim, which is it's such a perfect rod for swim baits. Period. It casts a HUD really well, and it casts a depth 250. It covers that whole range. It's got a good tip for all. I'll let Paul talk about that too. But iRod Fishing is our YouTube page as well. iRod Fishing for YouTube, Instagram, Facebook. The YouTube, me and Paul have been putting up a lot of content on swim baits. That's all we've been doing through like a Stoked on Fishing shows. Check those out. We've got a new one coming out this month. And we're always adding swim bait stuff onto our page. Paul's in the mecca of it. So
very, very cool. Very, very cool. And Paul, of course, people watching right now say, you know what? Screw this shit. I want to get out in the boat and actually see this. They can do that with you, right? How can they do it? How can they follow you?
Absolutely. Email me is the best way to do it. bigbaitbailey@gmail.com. That's going to get the fastest response. I get to those on my phone all the time. They constantly come through, and I'm responding to them. Any of my social media platforms as well. Big Bait Bailey on Instagram, Paul Bailey on Facebook. But really email me at the bigbaitbailey@gmail.com. Tell me what your interests are. We'll let you know when the best chances for those interests happen, and we'll get you set up with a guide trip up here in Northern California. It's epic swim bait country, and we pretty much do it all year long. So any of my social media platforms, guys, and thank you for having us. This is awesome.
TikTok now as well.
Oh yeah, we're doing a TikTok as well, and we've been having a lot of fun with that. And I noticed you were on there, Mike. You don't have too much content yet, but I promise you, the way this is going, you're going to be on there very, very, very soon, because there is a ton of people joining this movement right now. And it's a little bit different than your typical social media platforms. And you have a lot more fun with the content that we put on there, and a lot more goofing off and a lot less seriousnit. And so check us out there. And this has been a lot of fun.
That's awesome. Well, guys, I appreciate you coming on so much. So awesome catching up with you. And it honestly feels like a chapter in a book. And I know there's more chapters to come, so I'm excited to see what comes. Maybe a big bait posse, too.
Thank you. Thank you, guys. Thank you very much.
Good night, guys. We'll see you.
Thank you. See you, Brian.
Man, that was awesome. I said it before, and I'm going to say it again. It's hard to sit here and say that wasn't one of the most important things that happened, because I think it was. They got video, a lot of big names they mentioned that were important to this big bait movement, but that video did change the world in bass fishing. So good to catch up with those guys. Brian Carpenter, we're going to take another break. We want to do that. And when we come back, I think we're gonna open this mystery tackle box when we come back, and then we have one more segment.
Yes, we do. We've got Paul Bailey's brother Sean.
We've got Sean, and we got
Sean
Justin
Bailey
Kerr
and Justin Kerr
joining us. Can't wait to catch up with those guys as well. See what they're up to. How you doing back there, Zog? Everything going good?
Stick your head in there
right.
again. It looks like the back of Epstein's plane. Go ahead.
Hold on.
What the frig? All right.
Poke him in the eye. All right. Hang in there with us. We've got one more segment. When we come back, more Ike Live.
You good, man? You know we're doing a video right now, right? I'm about to go down there and tackle that dude. Hey! Hey there, official world. What's shaking? Fat Cat Newton coming at you. Listen, let's talk about something very important. And I'm not talking about Jack and Jaws Ripping Lips 2455 and Big Belly Kelly out of a brush pile. I found Primal Urge Foods. Ladies and gentlemen, what Primal Urge Foods is, it is a monthly meat stick box. Every month you get a box of meat sticks to your door. Retail is probably, I don't know, $30, $40, $14.95 a month. Now you can pick many different varieties. You can pick a surprise box. You get a little bit of this, you get a little bit of that. You get some 24, 55, and 54. No, we don't like antibiotics. No antibiotics. And these right here, completely eagle free. Now the gas stations meat sticks you buy probably have eagle in them. They have rhinoceros in them, but we are Americans. America! We're not eating bald eagles in our meat sticks. Guaranteed, none of these meat sticks have bald eagle in them. That is the #1 reason to buy these meat sticks. You want to get granddaddy a gift? Hey, you're dating a girl. Ooh, she fine as muscadine wine. And you want to warm up her hair, tell you, I'm getting excited talking about women. I forget what it's. Primal Urge, $14.95 a month. Monthly meat box subscription. It could be called a bombs box of meat sticks. You just do like I do, and every month the box shows up, and I don't know what's going to be in it, but they're all delicious. The meat right there. I tell you what, that's something going right there. It's girthy. It's Fat Cat Newton, Primal Urge Foods. Please, Ike Live is the code, guys. Ike Live. Ike Live is the code. Okay. Primal Urge Foods. Ike Live is the code. It gets you $5 off a box. Okay.
4.5-inch drop shot worm, Bama bug. Finesse jig, PB&J, give me something hard. Hey, KVD here. Now, I didn't always know this much about fishing. It's 4-aught EWG worm hook. In fact, there was a time when I couldn't tell the difference between a jerkbait and a stickbait. But then I signed up for Mystery Tackle Box, the original monthly tackle subscription. And now I know more about fishing than I do about calculus.
And he knows a lot about calculus.
Plus, I get amazing extras like free fishing magazines. October 2016. Featured article, 4 places to throw a frog. Exclusive decals. Zombie bass. And how-to videos for all the great baits I receive. How to tune a crankbait. Is that underwater footage I smell?
I got goosebumps.
So if you're looking to develop enhanced fishing abilities like me, or you just like getting new tackle every month, go to mysterytacklebox.com and get your box today. Ooh, live minnows. Is it lunchtime already? Nature's candy. Oh. Is he in my pocket?
Hey everybody, Mike Iaconelli here. I love fishing this time of the year. It's cold, it's winter, it's snowing. But if you want to prevent the buildup of ice, use Real Snot. Every time I'm fishing this time of the year, I put a couple squirts on all my guides, especially the tip, before I start casting. Try that tip when you're fishing under these cold conditions, and you're going to catch more fish. See you later.
There's a special place in our hearts for the tools of the trade. They're what we prep for a good day on the water. They're what we clean after a good day in the field. Flambeau's patented Z-Rust technology protects the gear of today from rust and corrosion. Z-Rust, for the performance of tomorrow. Preserve, perform, repeat.
hard to catch your fish, TH Marine has 2 products to ensure your fish survive. The Oxygenator injects 100% pure oxygen into your live well. That increases fish survival by 35%. For the perfect combo, add G-Juice Live Well treatment. It calms fish, stops bleeding, removes ammonia, and replaces slime coat. Get an Oxygenator and G-Juice and keep your fish alive.
Action. Hey everybody, welcome back to Ike Live. I hope you're having a wonderful Sunday evening. I know we are. We're enjoying some Founders and whiskey, Dave.
Yes, we transitioned.
Yeah, Dave, thanks for taking initiative there to pour the whiskey.
Yeah, roger that.
Yeah, and I think you said it was Brian's gift that he never took that we're enjoying.
None of you guys drank my Christmas gifts. I see your American honey sitting there, Brian's whiskey, and
Yeah,
I
we're
drank some of
drinking it
Becky's
now.
vodka.
We needed somebody.
You ungrateful bastard.
We needed someone to force feed us.
Zach, but Zach,
this whiskey.
Zach is a 20-year-old. You can't get credit for drinking the liquor I gave you, and you're supposed to.
He's
All right.
21.
Hold on,
He's
Zach,
20.
your
It's
mic ain't
official.
on.
He's 21.
What are you, 3?
21.
Huh? I'm 21. No, what microphone?
He's microphone 2, but he's 21.
All right, Zog.
The Primal Urge is amazing tonight, too, by the way.
You're still sort yeah. So anyhow, it's actually Scotch. It's Johnny Walker.
Oh, it's Johnny Walker. Okay. It's really good. It's delicious.
Zog, pop your head in there.
There's Zog right there.
There I am.
There you go. Okay, Zog.
And you're out.
And you're out. It's been a great show so far, and we still got another segment coming up, so hang in there with us. Of course, tonight we're talking all about the Big Bait Posse video. Big Bait Posse, talking about big giant swim baits, talking about big bait fishing, that whole movement, starting in the early to mid 90s, of course, up to the release of this video, which was 2007 and beyond. Just a really cool part of the sport that happened. I got to be a part of that video. It was a great experience. So glad I was part of that. Also, let me remind everybody, if you're at Facebook, go over and like and share. This is the last segment. If you've got a chance, like and share that Facebook feed. You're going to be entered to win this amazing Ike Live gift bag. And it's loaded with big, big stuff. You tell me, Bri, whatever you think. Let's do it after. Do it after? Do it now? Okay. We are the only live podcast that does a mystery tackle box unboxing. And we just got done talking big baits for over an hour. So we're going to go ahead and do our mystery tackle box unboxing. We're opening a pro box tonight. And as I always mention, the beauty of this box comes to your doorstep. Look at that. It's got the address right on there. Comes straight to your doorstep. The beauty of this box is it puts baits in front of you that you might not normally go and get yourself. Color, size, weird shapes. Gives you something new to try. And I love that about Mystery Tackle Box. And I also love this. I love breaking the seal. And I usually just use this pen. There it goes. There's the pop of the seal for the first time. You can even smell it. Smell it? You smell that? It smells like fresh oil. And look at that! Yes! I knew that was going to happen.
Of course it did.
I'm going to pass it over to Dave, but this is our norm. We're going to grab one and pass it along.
What'd you get?
I've got a swim bait in my mystery tackle box.
Of course you did.
Of course we did. We're talking big bait fishing. Dude, this is a really cool swim bait. Bri, I got to tell you, this might not go back in the box. This might stay with me. This is a Savage Gear 3D bluegill. Wow. What I like about this swim bait is it's not oversized. So for guys that are on the East Coast, New Jersey, this is the size of a lot of bluegill the fish are feeding on. This is a 4-inch bait. It's a jointed bait, has 3 segments, got a great color pattern. And last but not least, Bri, this Savage Gear jointed bluegill swim bait. It's a hard Actually, it's a soft swim bait. I take that back.
Yeah, it's a soft bait.
It's a soft bait. Has 2 hooks on it. Has a top hook, and it has a treble on the belly that you can take off. So pretty cool bait from Mystery Tackle Box Pro Box.
Savage Gear.
Savage Gear. Dave, what do you got? I'm going to open this up.
All right.
What do you got, Dave?
I'm going to go with the Guggen drop shot bait here.
Oh, yeah.
I have a dragon drop, man, from Guggen Baits.
Pretty cool. What's the shape? Is it a straight tail or?
No, it's almost like what were those ones that the Goby? Remember the Goby one that guy made back in the day when the Gobies first came around?
Oh, the X-Zone Slammer?
Yeah,
little slammer.
It's flat on the bottom. It's a decent little bait.
All right.
From Guggen Baits.
Nice. All right, Brian DeCarpenter, what do you got?
I've got a jig from I can't read it because I'm 47 years old and my eyes are shot.
Hold on. Did you ever think 20 years ago I'd be loaning you my glasses?
I don't.
Here, take
Oh
them.
my God! No, do it.
Come on,
Get a full screen right
here.
here.
Can't see shit. Why wouldn't you want to
do a full screen so we can highlight this later?
P. I can't see.
Oh my God!
Goddamn.
Dude, can you really not read what that is?
Get you some context.
What's wrong with you, man?
It says Pace. I don't know.
Cliff Pace?
Venom. V&M.
Oh, V&M jig. Okay.
Yeah. It's embarrassing.
It's embarrassing.
First the X24, then my van. Now I can't see.
No, the whole getting old thing's embarrassing.
Listen, you can't see that V is not very. It's not very V-ish. All right, yeah, no, it ain't
unite.
you. Yeah, no, I'd look. It looks like an F. It looks like a lowercase F.
And riot baits. We got some riot baits here. Little drop shot bait. They make a cool bait. It's got a little stinger tail on it. Little puffy ball on the end.
Riot's got some cool stuff. Yeah.
Maybe that Jimmy John will rise up. What else we got? We got a Bagley. Some crazy looking Bagley.
Ooh, an old Bagley. Yeah. Ooh.
And what else? And some crawls from 10,000 Fishes. The Saw Crawl.
Saw Crawl. I like it.
I thought these Riot finesse worms looked really good. I was going to grab that instead of the Guggen.
The Riot's money and that Jimmy John over there.
Yeah. All right. So, Dave, I do have to tell you this real quick. So, the flea market today.
Yeah.
Brian was there hanging out for a little bit.
Yeah, I called him.
And we had Rich Plotkins in the house, and we also had Big John Milchanowski in the house as well.
Wow.
And what's his face?
Oh, and Ed
Volantad
in the house.
No, Ed's all over the place.
Oh, Ed's all over the place.
Ed's not a white rhino, man.
No, Ed's hustling. Ed's hustling.
That dude's around, man.
Yeah, he's around. But it was cool because we had a little old Top Rod reunion.
How
it was
about
kind of
that?
neat. Yeah.
Yo, Milch is 70.
Milch is up there.
Dang.
Yeah, he's still getting around okay though.
Yeah.
He's getting around.
What's that mean? Does he have a cane?
He has a cane.
He did have a
No,
cane.
because they only say that when a dude has a cane. I knew it. I knew it without even knowing. He had a
He
cane.
does have a cane, but he's getting around
I know,
all right. He's
yeah.
getting around all right. We were talking, and it is. I want to put you guys on
Milch
the
is
spot.
a typical gigantic Pollock, right?
Oh, yeah.
He's like 6'3",
Yeah.
260.
Yeah, I do want to put you guys on the spot. for
Shoebox
this.
hands.
Now that these guys are getting older, and it's a reality. You know what I mean? People get old. Like after seeing John today and getting to talk to him, and he was like, yeah, and I went up and saw Bert. And, Bert had like a little stroke, and
Did he?
He had a little stroke last year. He's still okay.
Bert's a guy from our club back in the day.
Yeah, Bert Huffman. Shout out to Bert. Bert had a little stroke last year, but it was like a minor stroke. He's still doing okay, but he lost a little. I think it was his left side or whatever. But I'm sitting here talking to John. I'm like, dude, we gotta do a little Top Rod reunion trip for for us and for them at some point. I mean, we're all getting older. It'd be really special. We
Some
need to
places
do it,
don't
dude.
have big boats where they're not getting roughed up.
Like, and my vision of it is to just go up to Bert because he's in Maine.
Yeah.
It's an amazing trip anyway.
Tons of little lakes up there.
Well, when John saw him last year, he was.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
But anyway, we could figure out the place. I think we should do it.
Yeah.
I think we should rustle up, even if it's like a 2-day thing.
What would that reunion consist of? Who would be in it?
I'd like to see a lot of those old original guys,
So like Ed, Rich.
Ed, yeah. Invite Crazy Chris. John McGraw,
John McGraw.
Big John.
Kenny, Bert.
Kenny and Bert. Kenny can get on Bert's shoulders.
Brian McLernan.
Yeah. Dude, can you imagine what a crew, what a reunion that
I already
would be.
bailed on the whole thing.
We'd have to we'd have to order like a case of Ben Gay.
Geriatrics
and heating pads. You know what I mean?
We're lucky if we get this down at Cooper River.
Yeah.
Yeah. Have them come here, fish on Palatine.
That's it.
Seriously, that might be the best case scenario.
You got a badass fish tank.
Might be the best case scenario.
Oh yeah, give me a couple minutes. I'm gonna set up our two.
All right. Listen to me. Hang in there with us. we've got one more segment, and we're talking to the remaining two of the original Big Bass Posse video. Of course, we're going to be talking to Paul's brother, Sean, and we're also going to be talking to Justin Kerr. Two guys, when you talk about West Coast fishing, dude, it'd be like saying, Ed Callan out here on the East Coast. These guys are phenomenal in the West Coast arena. So many boats won between those two guys. I couldn't even imagine how many boats they've won between the two. But they were part of this movement as well. And some of the first guys to really show the power of big bait fishing in a new way, through this DVD. So can't wait to get these guys on the phone, chat with them a little bit as well. Let me remind you, if you're watching on Facebook, like and share that feed for a chance to win that. Also, if you have a question or comment when we get Justin and Sean on, please hit us up on the IM board. And if you're following through on social media, hit us up on at Ike Live Show, Instagram, Twitter, or Facebook. Apparently, I should be on TikTok, too. According to Matt Newman.
It's huge, dude. It's huge.
It is huge, isn't it? Here's the thing with TikTok. I can't imagine taking it on another social media platform. It's so much work to handle 3. And the other thing is I do feel, talking about geriatrics, I feel too old for TikTok. Am I too old? Zog, am I too old for TikTok?
No, we can get you on there.
You think so?
Yeah.
I don't know, man.
What the hell is it, dude?
I don't know it's a social media platform. It ticks and it talks. It's almost like Vine, right? It's like Vine. It's a content platform. Oh. I don't know if I can do that. Brian, we've got them.
We do. I'm just re-cropping.
Okay. We're going to be talking with Justin and Sean here in just a second, and hang in there with us because this is again a special reunion for me to go all the way back to this video, the making of this video. 2007, it seems like an eternity ago. To me, it seems like yesterday, but this was a game changer. This Big Bass Posse video was a game changer from seeing swim baits and big baits for the first time nationally from the perspective of capturing content, showing it in a way it's never been shown. This thing was a game changer, man. And so many people I meet still. I told Brian, we talked about this. Still to this day, I'll do a boat show. I'll do a seminar somewhere, and I'll have people bring up the Big Bait Posse video. That's pretty, dude, that's, you know it's been powerful when people from that long ago say, remember it,
Hell yeah, dude.
It's a powerful thing, man. It's a very powerful thing.
Legendary.
And having it on YouTube again is nice, so all the young bucks can get to see it.
Shout out to Kent Brown. He just texted me a little while ago, and Kent's a West Coast guy, and he was saying, just complimenting how awesome it is to hear from these guys again. And he said that video is going to have a second life. And,
I think it is.
I messaged him back, kind of like Bohemian Rhapsody, hit the top of the charts twice.
Yeah.
It's kind of like that.
Yeah.
It's the Patterson-Gimlin film of bass fishing, dude. You know what the Patterson-Gimlin one was? That's the Bigfoot in California back in the day. Walking across the creek bed. Yeah.
The video.
Patterson-Gimlin.
Oh, yeah. It was refuted over and over.
No, it's been proven true. But
it's true video.
Absolutely. I'm a true believer.
That's bullshit. That's bullshit. Let's get on with that video. All right, joining us now via Skype, we've got the last 2 remaining members of the original Big Bass Posse video. Sean Bailey, Justin Kerr, joining us on Ike Live tonight. What's up, guys?
How you doing?
How you doing tonight?
On, Mike? Good to see you.
Good to see you guys. What's cooking? What's new?
Just had a baby, got married.
Yes. Congrats.
Congrats on the baby, at least, right?
Congrats on both.
I got 2 kids and not married yet, but probably soon. So,
all right.
Same boat on.
Here's the first thing I want to start with, and I said the same thing to the guys we just had on. As I look at this video and I reminisce on the time, 2007. Isn't that incredible that many years passed?
I know. It flies. I mean, it's crazy how long ago it was and how long we've been fishing when we actually think about it. And it goes by too fast, man. So.
What blows me away is when we made that video, it was kind of like the end of an era for us. We had already been doing it for, almost 10 years on that lake, and, decided to let the cat out of the bag kind of at the very end there when they stopped putting trout in the lake. And, all of us were getting more and more into tournament fishing, and, I moved away and Paul moved away and then Justin moved away. And it was like perfect timing for us to kind of be like, this is like a cap of an era for us, and let this video out and kind of show the world what our life was about for 10 years,
Yeah. Yeah, I said the same thing in the first segment to the other guys, and I want to say it to you. It's hard because when I look back at it, I remember that day, and I remember the time, and I remember it just felt normal. Just felt like, a bunch of guys that love to fish, a bunch of fish heads getting together just to have fun. And but now you flash forward all these years later, and it was such a big thing. Do you guys ever think about that? Do you ever look back at that time and say, we were at the forefront of something that has become much bigger? The big bait movement, the swim bait movement, and even the way that people look at fishing. It was happening, but I don't think I realized it was happening at the time. I look back on it now, and I'm like, holy shit, I can't believe I was involved in that. Do you ever have those moments?
Go ahead, Justin. Go first.
Yeah. I mean, I do for sure. And, at the whole Big Bait Posse, I got very fortunate by Sean to let me in on that little secret that was going on at the time of when, obviously the Huddleston had been out, and we've been using that. And, Optimum swim baits and stuff like that. And when that triple trout came out, I had no idea that, any of that was going on. And Sean goes, okay, I'll finally tell you. And, I went out with him, and he says, just throw it right there. And I literally threw it right there and caught an 8-pounder right away. So Crazy. It was pretty incredible, and we just ran with it. And, to do it that long ago and to see so much swim bait, how it's involved in rods and reels, and a lot of the stuff that I wish I knew back then. You would have put 10 times more fish in the boat. The hooks. So it's pretty incredible to be in the beginning parts of it. I wasn't really necessarily doing it as long as Sean and Matt were, but I definitely got my fair taste of it. So it was pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was neat, being, and I'm never gonna say we were even close to the first ones to ever throw swim baits. I mean, I watched the whole show before you guys called me, and like Matt said, Jim Mason and Butch Brown, and there was a handful of guys, and then a whole bunch of guys that I don't even know that were throwing swim baits. We weren't the first, but we were early on in it, and it was an era to where I don't know if it can be, be done again. Like what Paul and Matt were saying earlier, I don't know if there's another set of guys that can have the core, craziness to go out and get this footage. It was a fun time to be a kid. We were in our teens and early 20s, and we didn't have, steady jobs and families, and we were crazed little maniacs at the lake every day, just trying to figure out a bite and just trying to catch another fish. We used to get mad when we'd catch a 10, not when we were filming the video, but like when we were just fun fishing before we, were doing the video. Like, I'd catch a 10 and I'd be upset, and it sounds stupid, like now.
Yeah, it does. Really stupid.
But it's, and I don't want to sound like egotistical or like I'm a moron, you know what I mean? But like we were chasing high teen fish, you know what I mean? We wanted teen to high teen fish, and of course we all wanted a world record, but like you get a bite after a few hours of fishing, and you get it in the boat, and like you'd bounce it, you boat flip it, it's a 10, and you're just like, I would just kick it and be like, get out of here, and just go about my day, because I was mad, but like I was disappointed that I didn't catch a 15 and it was only a 10. And that sounds stupid.
It's crazy.
And I don't care what people say. It is stupid to say it, but that's how we felt back then.
Yeah. It's crazy. It's so crazy to think about, how many big fish you guys were catching and how many were documented in this video. But it definitely, dude, it goes beyond, just the swim baits, the big baits, the techniques. And we mentioned a little, but I want to touch on it again here. It's the whole feel of what was created in this video, and the analogy that I give is skateboarding, BMX, surf videos, the early videos, DVDs, and those sports changed and created a whole new group of athletes in those sports. And I think this video did that in fishing. Honestly, look at it, because pre-Big Bass Posse, fishing guys looked sort of the same. They looked the same. They acted the same. There was this flatness in the sport. And when you look back, now guys are, there's the momentum, the movement, the sound, the feel, the way they dress, the caps, everything that was portrayed in this video. All these years later, it's the norm. Do you ever think about that? I mean, you got literally, this video changed the way people act in fishing, the way people dress. It's nuts. It's crazy.
Yeah, at that style, but yeah. I mean, like I said before, it totally changed. Going into after us, people would make these videos and they put the music to it and the whole deal. So we kind of knew that that was way it was flowing. So
yeah.
It's definitely we need to maybe get another one going.
Yeah, well, we talked about it. I'd love to see it. I know there's a lot of people that would love to see a Big Bait Posse 2 come out. That would be unbelievable. It would be insane.
Yeah. I mean, we definitely weren't the first, but we were the first to document it the way we did.
Right.
And, the credit goes to my little brother Paul with the whole feel of the video with the music and, like you said, the skateboard surfing aspect of it. We all kind of had like an agreement on how we were going to do the video. We were going to, each person was going to have a segment to music, to a song, but they really put it together and Paul did all the editing and like with Kurt and all those guys. I mean, without them, there's no way we could have done this. There was no editing software for a Mac or any kind of GoPro software. So to do any kind of editing, you had to go to like a studio and we got quotes and it was like, we'll edit it for you for $20,000. I mean, and here we are, we're 20 years old. It's like, I got $20, I don't got $20,000. So we really got lucky with Paul, being in the BMX industry and knowing those guys, and without them and their ideas and stuff, the video would have never, been as good as it was. And I watch it now and it's, I always tell people it's like a dinosaur. The thing's extinct, it's so old school to me now, with all the new technology for editing and stuff now. But it was really cool to do, and we had a blast doing it.
That's awesome. Justin, you said something, and I want to get both your opinions on it. You said something that you wish you would have known then what you know now. Take me back, and if you could have added a few things that you have now to filming back then, what would they be?
To the filming, some of that stuff I was talking when knowing would be, my rod and reel combination. As so many times I remember we were using monofilament line, in the street, and I'm using a 7-foot rod, and it's just, I remember many times hooking fish that were huge, 15 plus pounders, and you can't get them in. And it's just knowing with braid and the right hook and the split ring, and you're going to land them, so, and the filming aspect with so much now having the drone footage and all that, you can lay out the cast. And, like I said, when Sean was dialed in during that time, he had 10 spots where you would literally cast a bait and you'd have 8 to 10 pounders chasing it. And I don't mean like 3 or 4. I'm talking like 20.
Wolf
so
packs.
You'd have 10 spots to go to like that. And once in a while, they'd all move out of the way and one double the size would eat it. And you'd literally watch the 10-pounders swim away. and a 20-pounder would come up and eat it, or 15-pounder, and you can't land them because we had the wrong gear. But to have that on a drone or something like that would be just really incredible.
Yeah.
Because the water could see it.
Yeah.
You know.
What would you go back and change, Sean? Is there one thing you have now that you wish you would have had then?
Oh man, that's a tough one because you know, I wouldn't say the baits, because we had the best baits, we made the best baits.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say you know, I'd probably say, like Justin said, the equipment, and I would probably say more technology. Like if I could, I look back and I'm like, I wish I would have had 20 spots that had 10 pounders on it instead of just 10. You know what I mean? Like if I had technology to go out and side scan and find those little underwater points, you know, I mean, we were using, you know, topographical maps. This is like when GPS was just first, you know, getting real popular. And it's like, you know, now that the lake's low, you go there and you look at the lake and you're like, I didn't even know that point even existed. It wasn't on my charts. You know what I mean? I didn't have contact back then. So the technology to just find more spots, I think we could have done a lot more damage.
Yeah, that's interesting. Technology has changed a lot. Here's something I want to ask, and this is probably eventually will come through on the IMs, but I want to know, between the two of you guys, how many boats have you won in your career? This is amazing because, listen to me, where we're from, up here in the Northeast, you can't win boats around here.
Unless you come to the Ike Live.
There's literally 2 events a year where we win boats. Now, if you're in Texas, Alabama, you can win a lot of boats there. But you guys, I need to know the number. Justin, start with you. How many boats have you won in your career?
I'm not as many as Sean. Some team and some pro. I maybe 6 boats probably. 6 boats and a truck. So Sean probably got me beat.
Sean, how many?
Well, so I kind of got screwed because some of the circuits we fished, they stopped giving boats away and they gave cash away, you know?
Yeah.
So I've won 9 boats, but I've won like 15 tournaments that they used to give a boat away for, and then they ended up giving cash away for. So physical boats that I've had to sell I've won 9 boats.
Oh my God,
that's amazing,
Dave.
dude.
Isn't that incredible? Don't you wish we had that here? I mean, we just don't have the events to do that.
No, we have
none.
Like we have
none.
You have your event, and that's it.
1 or 2.
What's the second? You have your event.
We used to have Foxwoods back in the day. That went away. That was, you know, a short-lived circuit. But
sometimes the cash is better than.
Yeah.
We don't have any big bodies of water here.
That's true. That's true. We're a little shorter on bodies of water. I want to touch on something I didn't get to talk to those guys a lot about, which is the influence that this video's had and the influence that you guys have personally had on the growth and development of new swim baits. I want to talk to you about that because I know both of you have gotten to work with some great companies over the years. Justin, you've been to Japan. You've got to see bait development on a whole new scale. Dude, I'm a fish head to the point where I follow so many Japanese accounts on social media just to see the pictures. I have no idea what the hell the text means. I can't understand it. But I follow the pictures. And, dude, I see the influence that this video and you guys have had on bait design there. It's unbelievable. Like, all these years later, I'll see, a Huddleston tail on, like, a hard bait. Or I'll see, talk a little bit about that. Because it's got to be cool feeling. It's got to be rewarding, but it also might be a little frustrating. Justin, start with that.
It's, for me, a couple things at the time, we were young kids and we didn't have the marketing brains at the time, and it would have been great to have been able to make our own bait at the time and put it out and, it'd still be good today. But, obviously like the technology on these baits and the big glide baits, a whole nother aspect of swim bait fishing, I really haven't got into it too much in the big glide bait fishing. I know Sean does a ton of it. For me, I'm more of a guy now. If I'm using a big swim bait or something like that, it's a top water bait, and for me, it's something I do around the spring and the fall, and it works really good for me. So, Sean's really into that glide baiting, and he knows a tremendous amount about it, but it's totally changed in the technology and the way that the fish get accustomed to looking at certain lures.
Yeah.
And they get totally, and especially in the clear water where we fish a lot.
Yeah.
It's they really get toned in on the bait. So seeing that new development and having new baits all the time is key.
Yeah.
For sure.
Do you stay up? Yeah, Sean, do you stay up with it? Are you constantly trying to get new baits and tweaking existing baits, or are you satisfied with the arsenal you have right now?
No, I'm one of those guys that's always trying to think of the next best thing or try to find the next best thing. And, years ago, for me, it started with, I couldn't afford to go buy like an original castaic hard bait, which was like, guys now make like crank down baits. It's like a 2-piece wood bait with a bill on there that you wind underwater, but it floats also. I couldn't afford to buy baits like that, so I would just like, I'm going to make it, I'm going to try and make one, you know what I mean? And like Matt said on earlier today, is like, the first one I made, it was just out of a dowel, and it swam like crap, but it got bit so good. And like little things like that opened up to my eyes to like, oh, it doesn't have to swim perfect to get bit.
Yeah.
And maybe the reason it got bit is because it didn't swim perfect, and maybe it looked injured, and maybe that's what they're keyed in on, instead of this perfect S-swimming, bait that looks like a fish. You know what I mean? And Newman was saying like I got bit and he didn't, and then so I'm like, well, maybe I'll make something that just moves. And a lot of my baits that I made back when me and Dave were making baits, like they didn't even swim. It was more of like they floated. I'd throw it out there and I just twitch it. And just twitch it on the surface, making it look real injured, would get a lot of bites.
Yeah.
And I see the way guys are making baits now. Me and Dave were making baits like that for years before the video came out. And guys were always asking after tournaments, like, what'd you catch them on? And I would just say a Bailey trout, because I made it, and there was no name for it. And, and now I see guys like Roman Made and stuff, and they put their videos out on how they make them, and they have templates and sanders, and I don't know if they did it because we didn't like that, or it's just because that's an easier way to make it. But we definitely started the craze to the guy in the garage to start making their own baits instead of looking at the internet to buy one.
Yeah, it's incredible, and it's hard to wrap your hands around it. I don't know you could put a number on it, but I wonder how many millions of dollars, income has come because of this, indirectly because of this video. It's hard to think about it, because I believe that I believe a lot of companies were inspired by this and created baits off of this and what you guys are doing. I wonder what that number is. Couple million? 10 million?
It's got to be pretty good.
Tremendous.
It's a lot of money. I wish we all had it to share. Dave, I know we got some IMs coming through. What do we have?
So it's excellent you brought that up. So Justin and Sean, BP from South Knoxville wants to know, was there any sponsorships that came after the release of that video?
Well, nothing directly related to swim bait fishing, but me and Justin were, well into our early tournament career, and we both got sponsored by Evergreen International, which is a giant Japanese company. Ike, I know you're friends with Marizo, really good. He's a great friend of mine as well. And when that video first came out, it was right when we first got sponsored by them. And I remember all sitting in a room, and they had just got done watching it in a hotel room in Vegas, and we had a meeting at ICAST, and they came down, and the first thing they said was, too many big bass in one video. And I told them that's impossible, but they're thinkers. They're thinkers, and they would have stretched that out over into 5 videos and sold 5 videos and made a lot more money than we did,
Here's another question, Justin and Sean, on our YouTube feed. Roy Hawk wants to know.
Roy Hawk?
Yeah.
Is it the Roy Hawk, or is it another?
I don't know who the Roy Hawk is. It's Roy Hawk.
Oh, okay.
It's got to be the Roy Hawk.
It is Roy Hawk. It's actually Roy. Shout out to Roy.
He says there's something fascinating about getting bass to bite big terrestrials, like rats and birds, etc. What do you guys think about it, and what are your favorites?
Oh, that's a good one.
Roy Hawk.
Go ahead, Justin. Go first.
Well, yeah, I do like this. We were talking earlier. I do like fishing the top water, swim bait per se, and I do use a rat a lot, and I do use a Woodrow rat, and actually I won a California Open on the rat, and it's one of those things where I don't, like I said, in swim bait fishing is so hit or miss, and sometimes you got to really be on them to catch them to win some money. So sometimes I don't do it, because I need to get a paycheck for my family too.
Yeah.
So, and you can swing and miss, that. So, but the rat, at a place where they're going to eat big baits, and that rat gets bit a lot. So that was what I used to win the California Open on.
So, I mean, I've caught probably the most big fish on Huddleston, obviously. All of us probably have, but I'd say my favorite bait to fish is by far a triple trout. I mean, me and Paul have done so much damage on that thing. I've won so much money. Me and Paul held the record for a 5-fish limit. I mean, I know Matt was talking about Dana's 63-pound limit, and that was 7 fish. But me and Paul had 44 for 5 fish during the day. And I'll tell you a quick little story about that thing. Matt didn't know about the bait yet, so I had been doing my best to keep it a secret from Matt for as long as I could. And we were in a tournament that day, and Matt was near us on a spot, and I ended up catching like a 6. And I already had a 6 in my well, and so I pulled both of them out, and I'm looking at them, and just for fun, I put them both on a balance beam. And Newman's all, what, just to get in his head a little bit. And he's like, what are you doing? Why are you balance beaming 6-pounders? And I took one off, and I just dropped it in the water. And I'm culling 6s, dude. And I knew right then I just ruined that guy for the rest of the day.
Yes.
Yeah. But for me, it was the funnest bait to fish. I could burn it. I could sink it out super deep and wind it slow. I could tune it to where I could weight it deeper. I could burn it. I could wake it. It was just the funnest bait for me to fish.
Yeah,
Wow.
it's awesome bait.
Is
That's for sure.
is the triple trout still as effective now as it was back then when it first hit the scene?
I think so. Times for sure. Sure.
Certain times it is for sure, but it's well known. It's been well fished, and there's a time and a place for it. But nothing will ever be like the first year a new bait comes out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's still good, but it'll never be the same.
Yeah.
Never.
Yeah. Brian and I had one of those experiences here, and East Coast, New Jersey, swim bait fishing for sure isn't at all on the same par of what you guys are talking about. But I remember this like it was yesterday. This is when through lines were first really hitting, and I remember, I think like Ish or somebody started turning me on to the through lines, the baby E's, and we were doing well with them out in Texas at Amistad and Falcon and places like that, and we brought them back here to New Jersey on these South Jersey little mill ponds, and it was exactly what you guys are talking about. The first year, it was like you could not go anywhere.
It was ridiculous.
And not catch a 20-pound limit. And in Jersey, that's like catching a 30-pound limit.
Or 60-pound.
Yeah, like a 60-pound limit. And it was insane, not just the amount of bites, but the way they would eat it.
Yep.
And then
how they were interested in it.
And then it's like every year that would go past, you'd get spoiled, and you'd go out expecting that same thing. And you could see it. It was undeniable that every year it would fall off to where they got used to it.
Yeah.
You could still catch them, but they'd get used to it. Is it that way for swim baiting across the board, for big bait fishing across the board?
I think for all fishing a lot is what I've noticed, and
All
especially
fishing.
living on the coast. For me,
Yeah.
I that a new bait is just huge all the time. The technology is so incredible, and the guys find all the spots with everything, and it's just not the same. So being on top of new baits all the time, I think it's a must.
Yeah.
So especially with a swim bait, because it's such a sight oriented bait.
Yeah. Would you agree with that, Sean?
Oh yeah. That's why we're always looking for the next best thing. It's 'cause they're so smart, and I always tell people there's only a certain percentage of aggressive fish in the lake that are easy to catch, the dumb ones, and those are the ones that we all catch. You know what I mean? And then there's a bigger percentage of fish in each lake that are the smart ones that never probably get caught or very, very, very rarely get caught.
Yeah.
So in my head, I'm only fishing for a small percentage of fish that actually live in that lake. You know what I mean? And once you show all those dumb ones your bait, they become a little smarter and a little smarter and a little smarter.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with that 100%. I asked Paul and Matt and Dave the same question. I want to ask it to you guys. What's the next big thing? What's the next big bait that's going to emerge in the bass fishing world? Swim bait or non-swim bait? What's the next big thing?
Oh, man. That's a tough one because, you know.
There's so much stuff.
There's so much stuff already. Like, you know, it's really hard to predict what's going to be the next thing. But I have a feeling that it's going to be something that has some sort of, you know, different retrieve. Like, you know, it doesn't come in like a fish. It doesn't glide left to right. Maybe it's something that's going to like swim up 10 feet and then down to the left 10 feet and then back over here 10 feet.
Yeah.
And it may all have something to do with like a bill of some sort that maybe if you were to like rip your rod tip and it changes that angle to on a bill that it would now set it to that direction. And then you can maybe like pop it again and switch the bill to a different direction and it'll take it over this way. I mean, there's a lot of things that I've thought about that I'm not good enough to create, but there's a lot of cool things that you could come up with if you were smart enough.
Yeah. Yeah. Justin, what do you think?
Yeah, for me, I mean, the technology, I can't even keep up. I'm so old school, but I'm so young. It's crazy. I feel like I'm 80 sometimes with the technology. I'm like, I can't do anything, you know? So me, it's incredible with the technology. And I think, you know, crankbait technology and chatterbaiting and stuff like that, it's been so worked over. It's going to be totally something off the wall. Most likely some sort of swim bait deal, I think, because it's such a sight thing, kind of like an Alabama rig. You know, that was a big thing, was it had swim baits on it. So for me, it probably will be some swim bait, like Sean's saying, some type of thing that will glide or do something crazy. And someone's going to figure it out. There's a lot of technology so it will be done for sure.
Yeah, something big's going to happen. It seems like to me, it's like, I think like seems like about every 5 years.
Magnum Ned rig.
Yeah.
Magnum Ned rig.
Years.
Yeah, it's every 5 years. Let me remind everybody watching, if you've got a question for Justin or Sean, please hit us up on the IM, and Dave will get your question through. Here's one I had, guys. A lot of our listeners, a lot of people watching and listening right now, they fish in places with smallmouth. Both you guys have a tremendous amount of experience on lakes out there with smallmouth in them. Tell me a little bit about, you know, big baiting for the brown ones, because so many guys out here, especially on the East Coast, I think they think you get around smallmouth, you got to throw a spinning rod, you got to throw light, little light, you know, little baits, light line, and I know that works. There's time for that, but is there a time to throw big baits and swim baits for smallmouth?
I mean, absolutely. You go ahead, Sean, first.
Oh yeah, there's definitely a time. And, you know, when me and Justin moved to Lake Havasu, which is, you know, got a ton of smallmouth and a ton of largemouth, it was my first experience, like, you know, throwing a swim bait and actually accidentally catching some smallmouth. And it really opened my eyes to what those little brown suckers are capable of. You know what I mean? I'm over there fishing for big stripers and big largemouth, throwing an 8-inch punker, and like a 2-pound smallmouth blows up on it, and I hook it, and I'm like, what are you doing? And then as it progressed, you know, like the first couple of years we were there, how many smallmouth we caught on big baits.
Yeah.
I really, you know, my advice to people that fish for smallmouth is don't think of them as smallmouth. Just think of them as a fish, and they eat big baits. You know? Like just because they're smallmouth and they're brown, it doesn't mean he's not going to try to eat an 8-inch bait. They're going to try.
Yeah.
I mean, we've got shad and we've got giant thread fins. And, you know, we'll be catching one on a Ned rig or something, and it'll blow out a 7-inch threadfin shad, you know. And I'm like, I'm over here throwing a 2-inch Ned rig. I need to go back to my roots. I mean, this thing's eating what I want to throw. Why don't I throw it?
Yeah.
Yeah, and they're super aggressive. The breed is highly aggressive.
Yeah.
So of course, and they're gonna track it down. You know that. I mean, that's like I said, I've used a lot of 10-inch baits on them too, like Sean, a lot, and it doesn't matter how big it is, as long as you can wind it super fast, they're going to eat it, So a lot of that time, and also as Sean said with the punker, I mean, we've caught a lot of giant smallmouth on a big topwater. So big topwater and some swim bait that moves extremely fast that make them challenge them, they eat it for sure. I love swim baits for smallmouth. Love it.
Yeah, I've seen some images come through on social media of just giant smallmouth caught on swim baits, and that's like that's a dream. I mean, a giant topwater and a smallmouth, or a giant swim bait and a smallmouth, dude.
Yeah.
It makes my hair stand up on my arms, man. Thinking about it,
it's
like a giant brown one, like a giant brown one. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. And
crazy.
We get those river lakes.
Yeah, Dave, you got some coming through?
So we do. Roy Hawk wants to know, Justin, can you explain why you got the nickname Mumbles?
Why Roy on me tonight, man? Why is Roy on me? No, just because usually I'm talking in the front of the boat and nobody can hear me in the back of the boat. So that's usually, and then I turn around and say, "Did you hear me?" And they say, "Nope." So I just kind of got the name as Mumbles. They say, "Oh, why don't you speak up, Mumbles? Why don't you speak up, Mumbles?" So I got that a long time ago, but it really hasn't carried on. But maybe thanks to Roy, it's back.
I like it.
Good stuff. And Sean, Wawa Hoagie Lady wants to know, we asked your brother earlier about your 14-inch Senko win. Maybe you can explain it a little bit deeper.
Yeah, that was just I don't know. Like Matt said, so Huddleston was putting on this tournament, which was a one fish take all, one winner. Big fish takes the whole pot. It was $10,000. It was like $700 or $500 to enter. And I'm driving up there, and I'm thinking, I'm gonna try to come up with a game plan. Actually, it was before I was driving. I'm gonna come up with a game plan, and it was only a 6-hour tournament. So I'm like, I'm gonna throw a big giant swim bait, of course, for 3 hours. If I don't catch a giant one, I'm gonna go to this rock pile that I know of, that I like, that's super deep, and I'm gonna glue these two Senkos together because it was August, so I knew there would be some deep fish. So I made this whole rig up. I don't know what made me do it or what I did, but I told Paul that I was gonna go do it. And then after the tournament, he's down there at the docks, and he's like, "What? How'd you do?" And I'm like, "I caught him on the rock pile I said I was gonna catch him on." I don't know. Just one of those weird things that happened that you kind of like called a few days before and it actually happened. I don't know. It was a cool day though. I mean, I caught one almost 10 and made $10,000.
But is it true on your first cast with the 14-inch one that you caught a 10-pounder?
Yeah, I had caught a 6 on a swim bait, and I knew that probably wasn't going to be big enough. So right at my 3-hour cutoff, I went right out to this rock pile, and I had it rigged up where I had like a 6.0 EWG on one end with a little leader to another 6.0 EWG on the opposite end. And when I put it in the water, it kind of like, it sank really cool looking. I'm like, this will get bit. And my first cast, I sunk it out to like 25 foot, and I got bit, and I caught that fish.
Oh
Wow.
No weight on it?
Wow.
I mean, a 7-inch Senko by itself has so much salt in it that it's going to sink fast.
Yeah.
But two together with 2 EWGs, I mean, it's sunk fast.
Wow.
Actually, I was told they put sand in those things, and that's why they sink so well. I don't know if that's true or not. It's not salt that makes them sink like that. It makes them heavy. It's actually sand. I don't know if that's true or not.
I don't know. I heard it was salt, but I don't make them.
Pretty salty when you bite them.
No, but I don't know. I don't even know what I know. I don't know.
I don't know. All right, I'm monitoring the social media, and I have one come through for both you guys from Kevin on swim baits, big baits.
Kevin?
It just says Kevin, and it says, guys, what's more important when picking, when swim bait fishing, picking the right color, the right size, or the right retrieve of a swim bait? Which one's the most important?
Go ahead, Sean.
Color to me means nothing on a swim bait.
Yeah.
So that's out. I'm going to say size probably doesn't matter either. So I'm going to say with what style bait you throw. For the conditions you're fishing on your, It's what style bait, whether it be a wake bait, a glide bait, a Huddleston style bait. That's probably the most important aspect of swim baiting, is to figure out what bait is the most effective for that time on your lake.
Yeah.
I believe the same thing. I mean, I was going to say, obviously the way it swims. So, like, if they're up shallow, you got something moving fast, you can use a, fast retrieve swim bait, or they're on the bottom, use a bottom swim bait. So, yeah, I think the same thing is how it works is the most important.
Gotcha. That's a good one. And then Noah, Justin, this one's for you from Noah. How did the winning the U.S. Open change your life or change your career?
Well, it kept me bass fishing, of course. That's the one thing I could say is most of all my expenses and everything I get is all from bass fishing. So
yeah,
winning that was huge, and it helped me obviously with Evergreen and everybody else that's supported me along the way. It's definitely helped me, and I'm grateful for it.
Yeah, that's a big one. I honestly I can't wait. I haven't fished that event yet. That is bucket list for me to just come out and fish that.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I was happy for Justin in that thing, but that sucker stole that tournament from me.
He was leading. He was leading for 2 days.
I didn't know that. Oh my God.
Yeah, and it was the second time I got second.
Wow, dude.
Yeah, he was leading, and I remember I went up in the morning to him. I said, "Hey, man," I was like in 5th or 6th place, and I told him, "Hey, just do your thing, dude. Get it done."
Yeah.
And I won an FLW tournament, so I was like, we're both Evergreen guys, so we just want to get it done right now,
Yeah.
And I told him, get it done, and he had a rough day, and
then you went out and screwed him.
I had a little bit really good, so I just got fortunate.
It's a hard one. That's a hard one to win. I've just followed it over the years, but from afar, it looks like one of the most challenging events you could ever fish. I mean, nobody ever blows it away. It's always super close. It always comes down to one fish. Justin, I think in your win, I think I read somewhere that you caught like the winning fish on the way back to the ramp or something, didn't you?
Yeah, and that's how Lake Mead is.
Yeah.
It's a fickle fishery, and the U.S. Open, to me, I liked it in the heat days when it was when it was really hot, because that tested even more. And even one time I went down, I was sick in one of them. It was so hot. So it does happen to everybody, and I think that was a huge factor. Now it's a little later, which is great because everyone gets to fish, but the fishing is just a little different, than when it's extremely hot and still and 115 degrees, and it's a grind, for 3 days.
Wow, that's crazy. And then this is the last one that came through on social media, and this is for both you guys. And this is from Mandingo, and his question is, knowing both you guys are from Lake Havasu, is it true that back in the day, Byron Velvick won the Cockasaurus contest 3 years running in Party Cove?
I'm sure he did. I'm sure he did. Yeah, it's still crazy like that. It's mellowed out a little bit, but I wish I was living back then with Byron. We'd have fun.
Does Byron have a mule?
Hey, I'm not here to say anything, but
who knows?
Could be.
You can say if a guy has a mule or not. It's not like you touched it.
Listen to me. Dave, listen to me. You got to remember Lake Havasu in the days. Think about the MTV days when MTV. I mean, you're talking about it's the spring break destination of the Midwest to the West Coast.
Okay.
Millions of people coming.
Cock
They'd
shorts.
all get in this one cove.
Right.
And compete for this Cockasaurus contest.
They pull the junk out?
They pull their junk out. So you got thousands of dudes.
He got the belt?
3 years running.
What?
He got the Cockasaurus contest. 3 years running.
Now, is it a flaccid or is it full blood engorged?
I think most of them were flaccid to semi during the.
What are we talking about? What kind of weight we talking?
I don't know. Justin, do you have any? Sean, do you guys have any knowledge on the exact?
I've never even heard of this contest.
I'd like to see that, dude. I don't know, man.
Let me put it this way. In the Caucasaurus contest right now, I'm giving you my top 3. I'm putting Byron at the top, obviously, because he won 3 years running. I'm going to put Aaron Martins at a steady number 2. And I'm going to put our very own Brian the Carpenter at number 3.
I'll take it.
Aaron's swinging a tail too.
Did you ever see him? Sometimes you could just see a person. You're like, yeah.
Now, you don't got to tell me, dude. I strip searched about 1,000 guys, and okay, tell you right now. I was a correction officer, guys. So listen, I'm going to tell you right now. Listen, I'm going to tell you right now.
You just tell by the look on their face. They look kind of dumb. I look dumb.
Little, tiny, skinny Puerto Rican guys, baby arms swinging between their legs, dude. Forget the whole black thing. I'm telling you right now, little Puerto Rican dudes are
little Spanish guys.
Dude, bazookas.
Wow. Damn it.
Becky's storming over here right now to shut this shit down.
We're getting ready to get cut off here any second. We're talking about giant penises. It's crazy.
Speaking of swim baits.
It's awesome. We got away from it. Dude, I can't thank you guys enough for coming on and reflecting back on this time. It was, I said this to those guys, I want to say it to you. Thank you for letting me into that world. It was unbelievable. I was a kid back then too, and I felt like I was, privy to something that was a secret. It was so amazing to see you guys at what you do in your craft, and this video really it changed the world in bass fishing, man. And I appreciate it. Thank you for doing that for sure.
It was a pleasure, having you come out. That day that you came out with this, we had a great time, and I'm glad that you were able to, come out and see what we do.
It was awesome. Let me let you guys do a little plug into Justin. Guys listening and watching right now, they want to follow you. They want to keep up with you. How can they do it?
I'm Justin Kerr Fishing on Facebook and Justin Kerr on Instagram. And, once again, too, thanks for having us. And I respect everything you do and help the sport and everything you do, man. It's awesome. And I watch you for years, and I totally got a lot of respect for you, man. You're awesome.
I appreciate it. And Sean, I know a lot of people listening tonight, they're like, man, I got to get out to Havasu. Frickin' place has got big largemouth, big smallmouth. It's got them. How can they find you? How can they look you up and fish with you?
On Facebook, it's Sean Bailey Guide Service. Same with on Instagram, Sean Bailey Guide Service. You can email me at seanbaileyfishing@yahoo.com if you're interested. I just want to make a little shameless plug for Evergreen. Me and Justin designed a new big swim bait rod. If anybody's looking, for a big swim bait rod, we designed one. It's 8'6", double extra heavy. For the long cast, it's perfect for a big punker, a Huddleston, a 10-inch triple trout, anything that's 8 ounces or bigger type bait. We designed it for that stuff. So I've been, me and Justin have been testing it, and it's just come out here in the last couple weeks, and it's a bad rod. It's bad to the bone. $200, and it's great just for an entry-level guy all the way up to a guy like me who spent their whole life doing it. It's a great rod, and other than that, I just want to thanks for having us. Love everything you do, Mike. I love watching you. You guys super fun to watch. I appreciate it.
I appreciate it, guys. Thanks for coming on, and I wish both of you the best this year in tournaments, guide, and fun fishing, whatever you do.
Thanks.
Thanks, guys. Yes. Love it.
Good
Justin
stuff,
and Sean, everybody.
We didn't focus enough on how many boats those dudes won. That's ridiculous,
Hold on.
dude.
All those guys.
Hold on, wait. I got
all
one more.
those guys.
Justin and Sean, before you hang up.
Oh, they're still there?
Yeah,
Good thing I didn't call them assholes.
Don't dip out just yet, and don't answer this if you know it. So Kent Brown texted me something.
Yeah.
And I'm going to throw this out there.
Yeah.
West Coast trivia.
Okay.
Gary Dobbins and John Murray have won a combined how many boats in their career?
Oh, I know Murray's won a ridiculous amount.
80 boats.
Yeah, I'm saying 88.
80?
They're really close.
Dobbins has won 40 and Murray's won like 30 something. So close to 80.
First correct answer on our message board or Facebook, because Zog's on Facebook, gets an Ike Live gift bag, which Mike's got over there.
Right here.
First correct answer.
First correct answer. Okay. That's insane.
I see it. I see it.
Oh,
Yeah,
my God.
it's
80
insane.
boats?
Yeah.
Zog?
That's
Yeah,
insane.
that's back when they gave a boat away for a $300 pro-am. I mean, those were the good days.
They were the good days, man. We had a damn boat giveaway for Cooper River.
It's done. It's over with. Mac Utah got it.
Mac in Utah?
Mac Utah.
Mac Utah got it. What's the correct number?
What's the number?
Mac Utah guessed at 77. New York Chris, you were one boat away.
Wow. 77?
Yeah, 77.
Holy hell.
Mac Utah, send your info through.
Gary Dobbins has got 40. John Murray's got 37. However, he's got like 5 pickups. Hey, forget about it.
Forget about it. That's unbelievable, man.
That's amazing.
Wow. Crazy.
They're amazing.
Unbelievable to keep up with. Thank you, guys. Have a good one.
Have a good day.
Have a good year. Okay.
Night.
Man, that was awesome. I love it. I love it. The reminiscing, man. The reminiscing about that era. It's just so crazy that I tried putting these guys on the spot about, like, it's hard because I think everybody we had on tonight, they're humble. They don't want to admit to it. But dude, all these guys changed the sport, And I kept asking that question. I'm like, you look back on it and think that you changed it, and they really did. They were all humble and they didn't want to admit to it, but they did.
Hey, somebody went on the IM board about us not having enough boat tournaments around. He said you need to host one and give Brian's boat away. First place.
Maybe we should. Pete Klusick can be the MC.
Yeah, there you go.
And take all the credit for the boat build.
Shout out to Pete.
I want to thank everybody for tuning in tonight. It was a cool show. I'm so glad.
I enjoyed the hell out of it.
I enjoyed the hell out of it. Dude, it's a good change of pace. We talking a lot, Brian, about trying to get away from just the normal tournament winners on the show. We still want to do some of that, right?
John Cox is Skyping in right now.
John Cox is Skyping in right now. We definitely want to keep doing that. But it's nice that we're getting away from that a little bit.
Oh, dude, fishing's so much bigger than just tournament fishing.
It's so much bigger than tournament fishing, dude. It's about this stuff. It's we had one of the Philadelphia Eagles on last week. Yep. This is good. It's a good direction for the show.
Those guys were amazing.
Yeah.
Enjoyed the shit out of that.
Enjoyed it. I for sure want to thank everybody for watching tonight and talking about the original Big Bait Posse video, talking about big bait fishing. Thank you for tuning in. I want to thank our guest, Brian the Carpenter.
Yes.
We've got Matt. We've got Sean, Paul, Justin, and Dave. I want to thank all those guys for coming in and talking about the stories, the experiences from the Big Bait Posse video. Want to remind everybody, if you watched and listened to this show and you haven't seen this video, please, please, please head over to YouTube, put in the search bar, Big Bait Posse, and you can watch this thing.
It's on the iRod YouTube channel.
It's on the iRide YouTube channel, Big Bait Posse. I think this thing's over 40 minutes long. You're going to see so many 8 to 10 pounders caught. It's insane. Brian DeCarpenter, what do you got?
I'm trying to pull up a video.
Trying to pull it up right now. Okay, we might go out to the video or part of it anyway. Want to thank Zog in the back on social media all night, helping us, of course, with a lot of technical stuff. Dave Brodzik on IM tonight. Thank you, Dave, especially for pouring the whiskey. About halfway through the show. That helped a lot. And and there's Zog. Wait, Zog, put your head back up there again so I could poke at you. Hold on.
Epstein's plane.
Oh, wait, no. There it goes. There you go. I'm picking your nose. There you go. And Brian the Carpenter, thank you. Good show tonight, man.
I agree.
Yeah, very, very cool. Very fun. We're going to announce this winner, I guess, through social media, Brian.
No, he just won that.
Nah, we're going to give another one away, though, for the like and share. And, the dude just won the other one. What else we got? Got nothing else. I'm done talking. Hope you have a good night. Sunday. Sleep well. Have a good week. We're going to go out to the video, Brian. We're going to let that play a little bit.
Yeah, yep.
All right. Hope you had a good time. Enjoy it. We'll see you for the next one. Brian, when's the next one? Kayak tournament or something? Whenever.
Yeah, you know what? So the end of February, we got something lined up. Pretty cool in-studio guest. But that's the end of February. Between now and then, Bob's your uncle. We'll figure it out.
Okay. Have a good night, everybody. Good night.
Maybe a bigger one will eat it this time. I was thinking. They're in that pocket, man. Right there.
Come on. I swear to you. I swear to you. I gotta go.
That's a good one right there, boy. She's fat, huh?
That's a good one.
She's chunky.
He is a chunky
That's
monkey.
a big fish. She's 10 pounds. She's 9 something, 10. I don't know how big she is, but she's big.
Look at that, man. She's got a, look at that bait.
Look
The
at
bait
that
has been
belly.
so chewed up.
Son.
It's a good one.
People always ask me why I catch so many big fish. And you just got to figure out which bait it is and throw it all day long. That's how you catch big ones.